This guide right here is for people who are starting Lies of P like their first playthrough, or you could be a seasoned player. I believe this video is, you know, for everybody, has something for everyone. Everyone can learn something. I'm gonna try to go as in-depth as I can for every boss in Lies of P. Okay, so the first major enemy that you come across, and you cannot progress through the game without beating this enemy, is the Krat Policeman. You find two of them pretty early on in the game, and they have the exact same movesets. When he stands up to attack you, he will hit you 3 times. If you parry these 3 moves perfectly, you should get the white outline around his health bar. I missed the first attack, but I perfect parried 3 other ones to get the white outline. Once you see that white outline around his health bar, do not rush in, because if you try to do so, he can still hit you and kill you. Wait for a time when he finishes a combo. His combos are usually in 3s or in 4s, so wait for one of them and then do a charge attack to stun him. Depending on your build, if you are a balance or a technique build, you can usually sneak in another charge attack before doing the repost animation. This is just to do more damage to the enemy and kill them quickly. But if you have a motivity build, then I wouldn't suggest doing this. I would suggest going straight for the repost animation, and this is because it takes too long to get a charge attack done. With the balance and the technique build, try and get a sneaky little charge attack in there before then doing the repost animation. I obviously missed it here, but you get the idea, you get the point. If you are someone who is not really good at parrying, so you prefer to dodge, then the best thing that I've realized or seen for this guy specifically is to try and stay behind him. That allows you to get some free hits in and keep rinsing and repeating the same thing, which is dodging his attacks, ending up behind him and then getting some free hits in so that you can, you know, get some damage in there. Like I said, I'm not very good at dodging, so I prefer parrying, but I had to give you guys some visuals to like see what I'm saying. But yeah, for this enemy right here, it's better to stay right behind him as opposed to in front of him. He has some moves that has some weird range that you won't even expect, so staying behind him is a lot better to get the hits in and then do the damage you need. At this point in time, if you have been parrying him perfectly, you would have already gotten a white outline around his health bar, charging him, doing a repost, and then doing the crit damage to him. The rest of it is just rinse and repeat until he's dead. If you've been dodging this entire time, he does take a lot longer to show the white outline around his health bar, but he will eventually, and you just do the same thing. The good thing about dodging him is that by the time he shows the white outline, his health is pretty much already done, especially if you have a motivity build. But yeah, this works for any other build. If you are dodging, it does take longer, but he will show the white outline. You just do the same thing and then he's dead. If he doesn't die, rinse and repeat until he is. The next boss on our list is the Parade Master. As soon as you go into the boss arena, the first thing he does is dash towards you and thrust at you with his left arm. He may do this once or twice, depending on your playthrough, because, you know, RNG and whatnot. Another move he has is where he crosses both arms and then a downward slash and then to each corresponding side. That's not a red move, that's a normal move. He also does this quite a bit. Another move he loves doing is he will jump in the air and just crash his body all the way down to the floor. This move specifically, you have to time the dodge. The dodge needs to be perfectly timed, otherwise you will constantly be hit. You can also perfect parry this move. Both of these options are very effective. Another move he has is his red attack. His red attack is he crosses both his arms and he just slams them both on the floor. One thing that I've noticed with red attacks is you can't time them perfectly with a dodge. If it's a red attack, you have to either run from it or perfect parry it. Either one of those two is perfect. If you don't do any of them and you try to dodge or you don't perfect parry, you will be hit. The one thing I love about this boss is the fact that he is slow, and whenever he crashes onto the floor, he takes a few seconds to stand up. This gives you roughly about 3 to 4 seconds to get some good damage in if you are close enough, which is amazing. At this point in time, if you have done enough damage, he will show the white outline around his health bar. But what I realized about the time when I fought him, when he had the white outline around his health bar, it quickly disappeared because he was going into phase 2. I don't know if anyone else has that same experience experience, but normally speaking, if he has the white outline around his health bar, you should be able to charge attack him and get the stagger in. And then once you have the stagger in, feel free to charge attack him a second time before doing the repost animation. At this point in time, 3 things should have happened. He should either be dead, close to dying, or just getting into second phase. So let's get into second phase and the moves that he has real quick. At the beginning of second phase, he takes the basket from his back, slams it on the floor, and pulls out the rod or stick thingy on his head to reveal a weapon, a melee weapon. I was honestly able to kill him pretty quickly in his second phase, so I don't have much visuals to show you guys. And I believe you can do the same too, but just for the people who haven't, I am relying on my second character here to show you some visuals of the moves that he has. Okay, so first things first, if you are standing at a certain distance away from him, he will double hop to you and do like a swing attack with his melee weapon. This move is a 2-hit combo. So every single time he double hops to you, he will swing with his weapon to your right and then swing back again to your left. So you have to either dodge both of these attacks or perfect parry both of these attacks. Majority of the rest of his attacks in phase 2 are literally just him swinging his melee weapon left and right. As you can see right here, this is all he is doing. That's the crux of this phase 2. So it's pretty easy to dodge. It's pretty easy to maneuver your way around it, and you can punish his attacks because I said earlier he is very, very slow. Because he's a slow boss, it makes it easy to punish and easy to just deal with. He also does a couple of phase 1 moves, one of them being he will jump in the air and crash on the floor. I already talked about how to deal with that, so you're okay with that move. He does have one red attack, and that red attack is literally just a normal but strengthened left swing. He does this swing normally, it's just now red, so which means it's a stronger attack and he will do a lot more damage. I chose to parry here, but you can either parry or run away from it. Again, him being so slow, you can do either one and you'll be perfectly fine. So that is pretty much it for the Parade Master for both phase 1 and phase 2. Just to inform my parry fiends, as soon as he brought out a melee weapon, this means he is now capable of losing said weapon. If you are parrying him constantly, you will break that weapon, which forces him to do way less damage to you, therefore making the fight a heck of a lot more easier because he doesn't really hit hard anymore. If you have done everything I've said from the beginning, then he should be dead. He really should be dead, and if he is not, you could just rinse and repeat until he is. If you are perfect parrying, because he thrashes so much, you can either choose to parry or choose to dodge. If you are dodging him, you could just watch him thrash about, wait until there's an opening space and just attack him and just rinse and repeat until he's dead, and that's literally it. There is one more thing that I forgot to mention. As with every other puppet in the game, he is very weak to electricity. You don't have an electric weapon at the start of the game, unfortunately, but you can get an electric grinder as well as a throwing cell from the vendor before the fight. Throwing the throwing cells at the boss makes him even more easy. I mean, can he get any easier than this? And also imbuing your weapon with electricity is sure to do a heck of a lot more damage and just makes this fight a breeze. Just a quick note, if you throw the throwing cells at the boss or you imbue your weapons with electricity and you do the damage to the boss, you will notice that they have this electric current around them, as well as the damage numbers by the health bar turns blue. This is because the boss now has an electrified status, and because of this you do a heck of a lot more damage to them than your regular attacks. This status effect lasts between 30 to 40 seconds depending on the boss. Obviously for much later bosses it might last a lot less, but still use this to your advantage, get those damage in there and it should be easy to get done. But yeah, that is it for the Parade Master, and move on to the next one. Moving on, we have the Mad Donkey. The Mad Donkey is a human boss and you find him in front of a carriage and he's knocking on the door because Geppetto was inside. The one thing I really like about human bosses is that they are very, very easy to beat. With every single human boss, you can quite literally dodge behind them, get a backstab and just rinse and repeat that way, right? But let us take a quick look at his moves. He does have a few, maybe like 3 or 4 moves that he uses over and over again. And during my stream, I decided to break his weapon first before then dodging behind him to get the backstab. So that allowed me to gain a few insight on his moves, and we're gonna share that right here real quick. So he has a right to left upward swing and then a straight downward slash. This one is a charged downward slash, so it's a lot longer. His next move is 3 consecutive downward slashes, one after the other. Another move he has is a side swipe from left to right, followed by a downward slash. And last but not least, he has a red move. But as 6ix9ine once said,
"Stupid, I'm not gonna let you get the chance."
Yeah. Just like that, Puppet String makes very quick work of every single human boss's red attack. So keep that in mind and do with that what you will. And that is pretty much it. He can chain his attacks, so be mindful of that. When it comes to parrying, honestly, I don't know how accurate this number is, but I counted 7 perfect parries and his weapon was broken. When it comes to dodging him, it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. The one thing about this game is that I've realized it gives a very tight window when it comes to backstabbing. Because a lot of times you think you press the backstabbing button and it just doesn't register as the animation. And it's very frustrating, but it takes some time to get used to. Once you're used to it, you may still miss a few times. That's perfectly okay. Just try to constantly get behind him every time he attacks. It is a matter of dodging on time. You have to dodge on the hit, or you could just walk around him or run around him. Whichever way you choose to get behind him and get that backstab, it's a perfectly valid way to do it. I did it in like I think 5 or 6 different backstabs that made me completely finish the boss fight, but I was using a greatsword. I can imagine that it'll take a bit longer if you're using a slightly smaller weapon, the weapon that does less damage, but that's okay. Just constantly getting those backstabs and you will absolutely beat this boss. Another thing that I love about human bosses, which is absolutely amazing, is the fact that they do not have a phase 2. Because they don't have a phase 2, that gives you the opportunity to just rinse and repeat until they're dead. Again, practice, just getting those dodges correctly, getting behind him and getting the backstab. And again, it's perfectly fine if you miss. Honestly, the Mad Donkey, along with every other human boss, do like to dodge away from your backstab, and that's another reason why you don't get it sometimes, because they simply just dodge you. Their AI is practically made to do so, so don't feel bad about it. The more you do it, the more backstabs you'll get, the easier the boss will die. But that's about it for the Mad Donkey. I hope you've learned something, and let's continue with the next one. Up next, we have the scrapped Watchman. Now, this boss is probably going to be the first one that I actually add a little bit of extra detail to his moves. While learning how he fights and learning his patterns, I was able to pick up on some seconds in which are in between his attacks. So I'm hoping that'll be helpful and that'll be good for you to know, so you can implement that into your fight and kill this boss quickly. So let's get into him. I did mention earlier that all puppets in the game are very weak to electricity, but I think the scrap Watchman is probably the only one that is kind of a contradiction, because he is surrounded by electricity in his second phase. He utilizes electric moves and electric abilities, so I was a bit unsure on what he would be weak to in the second phase. There's a high chance that he is still weak to electricity even though he uses electric attacks, but if you want, you can use fire, I believe, and it should be okay. It just does some extra damage anyway, so you'll be alright. So the first move that we are looking at is this combo right here. The minute you see him spin his right arm like this and then slam it onto the floor, he is going into a combo. This combo consists of his right arm slamming first, then his left arm doing the same motion of the spin and then the slam, and then into a red attack where he spins both arms into the air and then slams his entire body on the floor. Now, I'm not sure how perfectly accurate this is, and you can test it out for yourself, but from the very moment he slams his right arm onto the floor, count about 5 seconds from each attack after that slam, and you should be able to perfect parry the move. So after the first right arm slams into the floor, there are 5 seconds between that move and his left arm slamming into the floor, which gives you about 5 seconds grace to prepare for a perfect parry. That's the same with the red attack. If you choose to parry the red attack onto the floor, it's around about 5 seconds between each hit. If you choose to dodge this boss's attacks, the same principle applies. It is still 5 seconds for you to wait until you can perfect dodge the move. Like I said previously in the
earlier boss fight, if you do not perfect dodge the move, you will be hit. So you can wait 5 seconds to be able to dodge the first 2 spin attacks into the slam onto the floor. As for the following red attack, there are 2 things you can do. You can either dodge 3 times backwards, or you can just run. Right here, I can show you the 2 instances where I dodged 3 times backwards and I also ran, and they were both effective. Let's get a bit deeper. And note to self, this specific thing that I'm about to tell you applies to every single boss. I'm gonna pause the video at exactly the right moment in which I believe you should press the left bumper, or if you're on a PlayStation controller, it's L1 to perfect parry a move. I'm afraid I don't know what the keybind is for mouse and keyboard, so I do apologize. So right here is the perfect time to press your corresponding button in order to be able to perfect parry the move. Now every boss has a specific tempo or specific speed in which they attack, so it's just about getting used to them. But around this area right here is where the boss's weapon or arm is close enough for you to be able to parry for it to be considered or counted as a perfect parry. His next combo is a flurry attack. If you are perfect parrying, he will do this 4 times starting with his right arm. He will hit you with a flurry move 4 times before then swinging his right arm around and then slamming it onto the floor. However, if you are dodging, he only does it twice before the swing of the right arm and then slamming onto the floor. Huge difference between dodging and parrying, but here we are. So when it comes to this specific flurry move, I have counted 2 seconds between each hit. This means after the first attack, count 2 seconds and you should be able to perfect parry perfectly. It might take a little bit of getting used to, but I've counted roughly about 2 seconds. Do not forget to take advantage of every single time he attacks to hit him back. Because you've got 5 seconds between one combo and 2 seconds between the other, you should be able to dodge the attacks and then attack him, therefore punishing his moves and then doing damage to him. That's about it for his phase 1 combo moves, but there are a couple other moves that I still want to talk about that he does in phase 1. The first one is when he stretches his left arm really far back and then he lunges forward to swing at you. This move is very devastating, does a lot of damage, and if not timed correctly or parried correctly, is really bad. In all honesty, anytime he does this move, I don't bother parrying him. I just dodge every single time. The best way that I can explain on how to dodge this specific move is not to watch the arm, but watch his feet. If you watch his feet, you will notice that he kind of edges forward a little bit, and the minute he finishes that, press the dodge button, because that specific move is very, very fast and it will come at you super quickly, which is why I believe his best indication that he's about to attack is his feet. If you watch his feet, he will move a little forward, I think like a little 2-step forward, and then he swipes. Now he does do this exact same move with his right arm, but the differences are with the right arm, he doesn't do the 2-step forward and the attack itself is much faster than the left arm. The right arm is more of a fast attack, but it still does a bit of damage, so I just dodge it normally anyway. The other move he does is a swipe with his left arm, and he swipes it from right to left, but you don't have to worry about this move. He is just creating space between you and him. That's all it is. Now, if you've been parrying him, I counted 7 parries until the white outline shows around his health bar. Again, I'm not 100% certain how many times this is. It might be different with your playthrough, with your boss fight, so it could be 8, it could be 6, but I counted about 7 until the white outline showed on his health bar. I was attacking him in between the parry, so that may have helped as well, but around about 7 should be the golden number for you to get the white outline around his health bar. If you are dodging him, he does take a lot longer to show the white outline around his health bar. For me specifically, he didn't show it until phase 2, but that's okay because you're dodging him constantly and you're punishing his moves and doing damage to him accordingly. So at the end of the day, you're still gonna get his health down. The white outline around his health bar at this point is just for extra damage, which is always good. Either way though, you are sure to get the white outline around his health bar, and once you do so, do not be afraid to put in a second charge attack before you go for the repost animation. Let's take a quick look at second phase. Now in second phase, he doesn't have much more going on than the few things that I'm about to mention. In terms of moves, he has the same moves as first phase. The only difference now is all his moves are laced with electricity. Every single time he slams his arm on the floor in second phase, it creates a pool of electricity in which, if you do not come out of it in time, will do some damage to you. Now he does have, I think, 2 moves that he's added onto second phase, and we'll talk about them right now. The first move is a red attack, so he jumps into the air and lands directly on the floor where he jumped, and this creates an AoE of electricity that also has a second pulse charge. So if you are in the area, you will be hit by the red attack as well as the pulse charge of electricity on the floor. So I would suggest leaving that AoE until the animation is done. The second attack is another jump attack, but this time he spins as he falls. Once he lands onto the floor, pools of electricity are spread around them in an area of effect, and each having their own electrical surge. If you are caught in any of these, you will be hit. So I suggest again dodging out of the situation until the animation is complete. This grab attack is one that I forgot to mention he has on both phase 1 and phase 2, but in all honesty, ever since the first time I ever witnessed the grab attack in my first ever playthrough, he has never ever touched me with it again. It's just that easy to dodge. I don't even bother talking about it or saying what it does. I've completely forgotten the animation of what the grab looks like, so don't you worry about it. And that is basically it for the scrapped Watchman. Once you understand his moves and you see his patterns and you know how to deal with them, as I have explained in this video, in terms of both parrying him and dodging him, the rest is just practice and practice with a little sprinkle of rinse and repeat until he's dead. Up next, we have King Flame Fuoco. I hope I said that name right. I always get it wrong. Fuoco, but there's an O there, so Fuoco, right? With this specific boss, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I did not parry majority of his attacks. I believe he is one boss that is just all over the place with the way he moves. I find no rhythm or no specific sequence to the moves that he has. He kind of just thrashes about the entire boss fight. Majority of his fight, I just didn't parry him. I rather just dodge him, and that's exactly what I did, really. What I did find about King Flame is that the left hand is basically his weak spot. His right hand, he swings a heck of a lot, but his left hand, because it's a gun, it has no movements whatsoever. It's easier to dodge on this side and then punish him with your attacks. But nonetheless, we are still going to break down his moves, see each different move and just what it does. I feel like that'll make you a bit more comfortable with dodging him. In all honesty, if you are someone who is very efficient or you just know what you're doing in terms of dodging, you can, if you want, skip to the next boss fight. But for those of you who this is your first playthrough, you don't know much about him, you don't know the kind of moves he has, stick around because I can break down every single move he does and I can show you how to dodge them. So first things first, because he is a puppet, he is absolutely weak to electricity. At this point in time, you should have the Fulminous Legion arm as well as an electric weapon, and this is literally all you need. Alright, so the first move we are taking a look at is this triple spin. He does this quite a bit, and the indication that he is going into this triple spin is he puts his arm on the floor and it spins on its axis before he spins around. Majority of the time, if you stick to his left, the move will completely miss you and you can run right behind him and get some really good damage in. If you're lucky, he will stagger and you can get even more damage in, about I think 4 or 5 seconds worth of damage. So altogether, we're looking at a good 8 seconds of damage right here. Another move King Flame has is his red attack, in which he walks to you about 3 steps and then swings his arm counterclockwise to the floor. Once again, easy move to dodge by just going to his left. You can also punish this move by attacking him as he finishes his animation. For some reason or the other, this move was the most annoying to me because he kept on getting me even though I was dodging. Now, admittedly, I wasn't perfect dodging, but this move always caught me off guard. But as you can see here, either dodging twice or perfect dodging once will get rid of this problem. His next move is an upward thrust followed by a downward thump. Again, step to the side and do the same thing. Do some damage in and punish him. Be mindful though, he might follow up with with another ground stomp. With this one, you'll have to perfect dodge it or double dodge out of the way, but you can still get some damage in as he does his animations. Now, he does have alternate spin attacks, but he doesn't charge these up, so he just does it once. He's got one going forwards, one going backwards. All the same, dodge to the left or just come out of it completely. You should now be in second phase, and the indication that he's going into second phase is a red attack. He will either charge at you, or in this case, he turned around from me and charged away from me. But either way, it's a red charge attack, and he will stop wherever he wants to stop, and he will let out this stream of fire. As you can see in the video, the moment he does this charge attack, your best thing to do is to stay behind the pillar. Run straight behind the pillar and just wait there, because that fire attack gets you anywhere across the map and will deal some burn damage and give you a burn status. In second phase, this red attack becomes a normal move that he can do anytime. The only difference is there is no fire. Run behind him and do some good damage to him. In second phase, the gun that wasn't working, that was non-functional, is now fully equipped with flame bullets and a flamethrower. He is also pretty nimble, and he also shoots these mud balls at you that go all over the floor. Mind you, if you step on them while he shoots you with a flamethrower or a flame bullet, it'll do a heck of a lot more damage as well as give you a burn status. While the mud balls are still on the floor, any attack that he does and lands on those mud balls will cause a fire explosion. If you are caught in it, you will receive considerable damage as well as a fire status. Be careful, because he can also drop it like it's hot at any given moment, and if he does this, you know what to do. With this method of dodging and punishing King Flame, he does not show a white outline around his health bar. What will happen is, if you have done enough damage, he will just stagger, allowing you the chance of a visceral attack. And that's everything for King Flame. Did I mention he kicks? The Juggernaut Carcass. It is impossible to progress without defeating this enemy, so let's talk about him. Being the first Carcass enemy that I talk about in the game, it's a very good time to tell you they are all weak to fire. At this point in the game, you should have a fire weapon or some fire throwables. If you do not have the Salamander's dagger, just let me know in the comments below if you would like me to make a video on where to find it. The first move we are looking at is his most annoying and devastating move. It says charge attack, it has a lot of range, and he has a huge hitbox for it. As you can see right here, there are two ways of dealing with it. You can either double dodge to his left, or you can just run away from it completely. There's a chance that he immediately follows up with a shield bash from left to right, but if you are far away from him, it's not something you have to worry about. If you are close to him, you can dodge to his left and avoid it. Quick note, if he does this shield bash by itself, it means he is getting ready to follow up with another ground slam. You can either dodge this perfectly by timing it, or you can parry it. Another move he has is this double spin. On the second spin, his arm extends out a little further, but if you are far away from him, you don't have to worry about it again. I would probably just go in there after the spin and punish him a little bit. The one move that I would suggest focusing on parrying is this overhead slam. It's the most easy, you can see it coming, and it's the most forgiving move. Be mindful though, he can follow up with another red attack of the same move, and don't be like me. I kept on hitting him too many times and that red attack hit me, so maybe hit him once and then run away from it. If you have been using a fire weapon at this point, you will see him stagger, and the visceral attack that follows will do a heck of a lot more damage because of the fire affinity. If you are not using a fire weapon, he does take a lot longer. I also noticed that as soon as I saw the white outline around his health bar, he put his shield up the entire time and he wouldn't let me attack him. If this happens to you, just wait until you get another chance. That's about it for the Juggernaut Carcass. The rest of the fight is just rinse and repeat until he's dead. Archbishop Andreus. This boss is very weak to fire, but try your best to not punish him too many times because he can catch you off guard. Let's talk about his moves real quick. This 3-hit combo starts with his right leg. He swipes his right leg from left to right, stomps that same leg on the ground before swiping his left leg at you. From the moment he swipes with his right leg, there are about 3.5 seconds before the stomp comes down. So if you count roughly about 3.5 seconds, you should be able to perfect parry it. Then after, there's about 2.5 seconds before the left leg comes swinging at you. So with these measurements, you should be able to perfect parry the move. Once again, this is not insanely accurate. This is just a rough judgment to give you like an idea of when to press the parry button or when to dodge if you are dodging. If you are dodging, then I do suggest waiting until the second hit lands. Once the second hit lands, you can punish him by hitting him once, giving you enough time to move away from the third hit. The next move is a tongue attack. There are two tongue attacks. One slams down and the other one is a side swipe from left to right. His indication for the tongue attack is he will lift his head up. As soon as he lifts his head up, there's about half a second before the tongue comes slamming down, but there are 3 seconds from the tongue slamming down to the side swipe. If you are dodging this move, then I suggest dodging away from the first slam, but then dodging into him for the second swipe so that you can get some damage in. Be mindful though, because he can use a tongue swipe on its own without the tongue slamming down first. The next move is a red attack. In this attack, he simply stands up and then sits down with his whole body. Right here, I perfect parry the move so fast you don't even see me bring out my weapon, but I counted from the moment his body goes red and he stands up. There are about 2.5 seconds before he drops down, so within 2.5 seconds, press that parry button and you should perfect parry him. Again, it's a rough idea, it might take you some time to get used to it, but it's around about 2.5 seconds. If you're dodging him, simply run away from the move and you can run back for some extra damage. With this next move, he lifts both legs up into the air and then slams them down at you, and then follows up with a left leg swipe from right to left. If you are parrying him, I counted 1 second from the moment both his feet were in the air until he slams down. From the moment he slams down, there are 3 seconds between the slam and the side swipe. If you have been parrying him this entire time, you should have seen this health bar have the white outline around it around about twice. If you've seen it, don't be afraid to charge attack him to stagger him. Get another charge attack in before then doing a visceral attack. Once you've done the visceral attack, feel free to charge attack him again before he starts moving. I counted 10 perfect parries before the white outline showed around his health bar the first time. But for you, it might be 11, it might be 12, but around about that number is the golden number, between 10 and 12. If you are dodging, it does take a lot longer to get the white outline around his health bar. For me, it didn't show until he was half health in phase 1. The next move he has is this right arm slam, followed by a left arm swipe from left to right. There's about half a second from when his hand is all the way up until he slams down, and then 3 seconds from the slam to the side swipe from the left leg. Dodging this move is pretty easy, and you get to punish him after he's done, so that's always nice. There is one more move that he does in his first phase, but I didn't get a clip of it because he didn't do it for me. So essentially, it's the clip you're seeing right here. The only difference is here he does 3 stomps with his legs, whereas in phase 1 it's 2 stomps followed by the swipe of the left leg. But essentially speaking, I counted about 2.5 seconds between each hit. So with 2.5 seconds counted, you should be able to perfect parry or perfect dodge it. Let's take a look at phase 2. In phase 2, I suggest waiting until he does this specific move right here. This move lunges him forward and he takes a while to stand up, allowing you the time to go behind him to make the fight slightly easier. Now he does have the exact same moves as phase 1 with a few extra moves added, and we're going to look at them right now. First move is this red attack. Normally in phase 1 he just stands up and sits back down, whereas in phase 2 he now adds 2 steps. The second attack is this mini charge followed by a left arm swipe. Now the mini charge itself doesn't do any damage, but the left arm swipe does. Essentially he charges by stomping his feet 3 times, and there's 2 seconds between the last stomp and his left arm swipe from left to right. This next move is his most devastating attack, and you might want to listen closely to what I'm about to say next. As you can see, he is charging up a beam attack, but what a lot of people don't know is he is charging up the same beam on both ends of the boss. So the best way that I have found to deal with this move is to run towards the center point of his left leg. If you do that, you entirely miss the first beam. Once the first beam has been shot, run straight back to where the first beam was so you can miss the second beam. He also takes a while to stand up after this attack, so get in some prime damage. Another devastating move he has is what I like to call the full thrash. I call it the full thrash because he ends with a red attack. Now it's essentially him just roaring and then charging twice all over the place, ending with a third thrash, which is a red attack. Whether you're parrying or dodging, I have found that the best way to dodge this attack is just to run away from him. Run as far as you can, and then when he charges towards you, run around him in the other direction. This will also miss the red attack. He also has this headbutt attack, which he may also follow up with his phase 1 tongue attack. Now the headbutt itself doesn't do much damage, but the tongue attack is very lethal, so be careful of that. Now that's about it for Andreus. You should have him dead. If you don't, it is okay to make a mistake. It is okay to die and to go and repeat it. As long as you remember what to do, you should be alright and you should kill him. Eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. I genuinely believe that from this fight, the game starts to get a heck of a lot more challenging. But before we get into the boss's moves, there are a few things that I think you should have. This ladder right here is located on the right as soon as you leave the Stargazer. Go up the ladder and to your left you will find the most OP merchant in the entire game. This guy is absolutely goated because he will sell you all these items infinitely. Just make sure you tip him some ergo for his time. For this boss fight, I suggest buying the saw blade, the Carcass body fluid bottle, and the shot put. Buy as many of these 3 as you can, and if you need some more ergo, there are some enemies in this room that you can farm to get as much as you need. You can use these items interchangeably for the boss fight, but for the best strategy, I would suggest using the shot put for the big guy and using the other 2 items for the smaller ones. Another thing that really helped me in this fight is the Aegis shield. I believe the second upgrade allows you to hold it out for as long as you need until the enemy makes contact with the shield before it makes the explosion. Be mindful though, I think this ability only occurs every 35 to 40 seconds, so you have to give it that time to recharge and then you can use a blast again. The first move we are taking a look at is this 5-hit combo. Now, fair warning, I am pretty bad at dodging when it comes to Lies of P. So from here on out, if I'm trying to explain the dodging patterns and I get hit, do not judge me please. I prefer parrying to dodging. So let's continue. If you are parrying, there is about 1 second between each hit, but be mindful though because the last hit, which is the 5th one, is about a split second after. If you are dodging, the same rules applies. However, I believe you can do it much better than I can. If you are not comfortable, you can just run away from him completely until he finishes. His next move is a 5-hit spin combo. This move also has around about a second between each hit, but the 5th and final move, he does it slightly more delayed. Honestly, the 5th move always catches me off guard, but I think I figured out the best way to explain it. Imagine this spin attack is a rhythm or a song. If you can figure out the tempo of the first 4 spins, all you have to do is skip half a beat for the 5th spin and you can perfect parry him. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I hope it does. If you are dodging him, he does something a bit cheeky. If you are within range, he will take a big step to try and close the gap on the 5th hit, and if you're close enough he will hit you, so you may have to dodge that 5th attack. In all honesty, you can just disengage from the fight and then you can run completely away from him to where you are safe. That way he cannot get you. His next move is this jump attack. Now I absolutely love this move because if you are close enough to him, every single time he will land behind you, giving you the chance for one sweet charge attack. If you are in front of him, you can dodge towards him as he lands onto the floor and you can charge attack him again. It's such an amazing move. His next move is this 4 hits combo, with the last hits being a red attack. There is around about 1.5 seconds between each hit, but for the red attack itself, I think it's around about 2 seconds for it to hit. There is something that I do absolutely appreciate about this move, and that's if you step to the side, he completely misses you even with the red attack. Wait for him to finish the entire combo, including the red attack, and then follow up with a charge attack to punish him for it. The next move he has is this upwards spin slash followed by an overhead slam. The moment you see him turn around, the spin slash upwards is instant, and so you would have to kind of gauge when he does it so you can perfect parry him. But the following overhead slam takes about 3 seconds. From the moment he does the upward slash, counts about 3 seconds for the overhead slam, and then you can perfect parry these two. If you are dodging this attack, then I suggest dodging away from him for the first one and then dodging into him for the second one to get either 1 or 2 hits in, depending on if he staggers or not. This here is an alternate version of the same attack. It is just 2 spins which are really easy to dodge. This is the last of his attacks. It is a red attack but a simple side swipe. If you are parrying him, wait 2.5 seconds after his body glows red and that should be a perfect parry. If you are dodging, simply disengage and then come back to punish him when he's finished. If you are perfect parrying the eldest brother, I counted around about 12 perfect parries until the white outline around his health bar. Now again, it might be slightly more for you, might be slightly less, but I think around about 12 is a perfect number to get the white outline around his health bar. I also counted 16 perfect parries for his weapon to break. Again, I don't know how accurate that is, but 16 perfect parries and his weapon should break. Now keep this in mind, although he doesn't do as much damage, he still has insane range with a broken weapon. Certain attacks that you think should no longer hit you with a broken weapon will still hit you and catch you off guard. If you are dodging him, there is not a single time when he shows the white outline around his health bar, but this is where the shot put comes in very handy. If you throw the shot put every now and then, you will break his stance and you will get the repost guaranteed. As long as you keep dodging him correctly and also punishing his every move, therefore doing chip damage to his health, you should be perfectly fine. Now, when it comes to the little rabbits, they appear periodically depending on how much damage you've done to the eldest brother. Starting with the lady first, she is the fastest of the bunch. She likes to throw you in the air a lot and she uses twin daggers. The second is the most eccentric of the lot and he uses a spear as a weapon. This means he has a bit more range than the other three, but he is the easiest to get a backstab on. The third is the battle maniac and the quietest of the three. He uses a curved sword, but he uses it in a way that one would use a rapier. For the youngest and the battle maniac, the strategy is the same. What I like to do is bait their attacks. So what I'll do is I'll look at the weapon that I'm using and then calculate the distance in which I can charge attack them, but they can't reach me, therefore doing a lot of chip damage to their health. What I also do is use the items that I listed earlier. I just throw it at them every now and then just to do more chip damage, and before you know it, they're both dead. Be careful though, the youngest one has this rush attack, but the shield makes quick work of this. When it comes to the eccentric one, I would say focus on the backstabs. You can use items, but the backstabs are the quickest way to kill him. Be mindful though, because when you are fighting the smaller rabbits, the eldest brother has the tendency of rushing in and trying to attack you with one move. So you have to hear when he's coming and dodge at the right time. Another thing to be mindful of is the battle maniac has puppet string. Because he has puppet string, he can at any time drag you closer to him. Because you were staggered, try not to attack and just try your best to run away. And that's about it for this fight. The rest is just rinse and repeat because there is no phase 2. Mind you though, the eldest brother does have a tendency of also mixing his attacks, so be careful of that, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. The white lady. Now, I know I said every single human boss is very easy to beat because you can just step behind them and get the backstab, but I genuinely believe that the white lady is the only exception to that rule. She moves really fast and does not allow you to get behind her at any given moment except for one move. The white lady is also the first boss who is capable of parrying your moves, therefore breaking your weapons. Let's take a look at her moves real quick. The first move she has is this pirouette, 2 stab attacks and then a step back. The other move she has is this charged red attack. Now she stays charged for a long time, giving you enough time to get behind her and try to get the backstab, but she's really quick and she will move out of the way when the animation's finished. The only way to get the backstab in this situation is if you are quicker than she is. There is a very tight window in which she cannot move after she has finished her animation for the red attack. If you catch that window, you will get the backstab because she cannot move from there. Anything other than that and you will miss it. Another move she has is when she mixes her pirouettes with her stab attacks. So she does like 2 pirouettes and then she mixes them with the stab attacks in between. Now the pirouettes and the stab attacks in between are basically the crux of her moveset. She does these constantly and she does them randomly. I believe there is no pattern or there is no rhythm to when she actually does this moves. Because it's randomly, she will just throw any out and she's capable of mixing them, so you get kind of confused. If you are parrying her, I counted 7 perfect parries and her weapon was broken. Again, it might be slightly more for you or slightly less, but around 7 is where her weapon breaks. If you are dodging her, then the best advice that I can give is to attack her while she's in animation, whether it be moving animation or attacking animation. Those are the only times that she cannot parry you because she is currently in another animation, so she cannot perform her parry in general. So while she's in any movement or attack animation is your best time to attack her and do some crazy damage. If you try to attack her while she's standing still, she will parry you and follow up with an attack. In a way, you are kind of predicting when she is about to attack next and using that to your advantage. That may be the most difficult part of this fight, but I guarantee you once you get it down, it is super easy and super smooth. Feel free to use use anything in your arsenal. In both times of me fighting her, I used the Aegis shield, I used the weapons abilities, and I also used the Fulminous Legion arm. If you would like to use throwables, then I would suggest using the Carcass body fluid because humans are weak to decay. Another item that you can use is the shot put because it does a heck of a lot of posture damage. Another thing to note is that she takes 8 perfect parries to show the first white outline around her health bar. This quite literally means her weapon breaks before you can get to break her posture and then visceral attack her, which I find super crazy. But that's about it for the white lady. She has no phase 2, so the entire fight is just rinse and repeat until you kill her. One other thing you should constantly make note of is your weapon durability. Fighting this lady will have your weapon durability constantly decrease without you knowing. So there's a certain point in time where you don't even realize and your weapon could break. So if given any chance, try your best to sharpen your weapon so you can stay much longer in the fight. The King of Puppets, Romeo. This boss is a two-phased fight, the first being a giant robot and the second being the King of Puppets himself. This boss, in all honesty, is very difficult to beat. He has the highest amount of moves out of any bosses that I've talked about so far, and his second phase is altogether something completely different. But hopefully after this section of the video, you will be completely knowledgeable in all his moves and know exactly what to do in order to overcome him. First things first, if you are dodging him, I need you to equip this item next to your pulse cells. It is incredibly important. The next thing to note is an electric weapon would be the best weapon of choice for both first phase and second phase. The first move we are looking at is this pirouette into the ground stomp with his right hand. Sometimes he'll follow up with a second of the same move and sometimes he'll leave it at just one. But ultimately, if you are parrying him, from the moment he starts spinning, count around between 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds and you should be able to perfect parry this move. If you are dodging him, I suggest dodging to his right so you can get one hit in between both moves. The same timing applies and you get some chip damage to his health, which is always amazing. His next move is this double swipe, first with his right arm, then with his left arm. The indication for this move is he retracts his outer arm and then swipes at you with his metal ones. From the moment he starts retracting, counts 2 seconds and that should be a perfect parry. It's around between 2 or 2.5 for the second hit. You can dodge either left or right and that will be fine. If you can get one hit in, then that's a bonus. His next move is this left arm swipe. 2 seconds from the start of this animation should be the perfect parry. Dodge to his left to avoid the move and get that one free hit in. With this move, he is just creating space between you and him, but be careful of the arms going into the floor because they will do damage if they touch you. I would suggest just dodging the move, but if you do want to parry it, it's around about 2 seconds from the moment he starts spinning his hands. If you are parrying him, I counted 8 perfect parries until he shows the first white outline around his health bar. This also includes hitting him after each parry, so with 8 perfect parries, you should see the white outline around his health bar. Once you see the white outline around his health bar, wait for the right moment to charge attack him and break his posture. Once you've done that, feel free to also charge attack him a second time before going for the visceral attack. After you've done this, charge attack him one more time before he stands up and his health bar should be at 50% or less. The character you're seeing right here is at level 1 or level 10 and I was able to do this much damage, so that means you can do considerably more. If you are dodging his moves, you won't be able to stagger him until much later, but constantly punishing him after every dodge and you should take a chunk off his health. If you do, you should trigger this animation. There are now a few new moves that he has added once he started this animation, so let's take a look at them real quick. If he twists his body, retracts his head and puts both arms on the floor, it's an AoE. Come out of the area and you should be fine. This one is a shorter alternative, but the same rules apply. With this move, he retracts his head and spins his upper body in a circular fast motion. It's an AoE that gets you everywhere around the map, so the best or safest area is between his legs. With this move, he spins his fingers like blades out in front of him. The best way to dodge this is to wait for the left arm to attack you first. Once the left arm attacks you, dodge into him and charge attack him. This move is the same as phase 1, except this time he ends with a jump over your head if you are parrying him. If you are dodging him, he doesn't do this and it's just the same move as phase 1. These types of moves are the same as phase 1, except this time he hits you with both his short and his long arms. So make sure you parry twice whenever you want to parry these moves. With this specific move right here, it's the same as phase 1, except this time he swings back. So instead instead of hitting him, wait for the second swing and then punish his attack. He also has a couple jump attacks. With this one, he puts both arms on the floor and then lands and spins as he hits you. As soon as his second arm hits the floor, counts about 2.5 seconds and you should be able to perfect parry it. If you are far away from him, there's no need to get closer. If you are closer to him, dodge the second arm into the ground and you should be underneath him, giving you some free damage and he doesn't touch you. With his second jump attack, he puts both arms into the floor and then jumps into the air. He suspends himself in the air for about a second before landing. After this second is your indication to dodge and he shouldn't touch you. If you do find yourself in front of him while he's doing this attack, run straight through the gap and keep running. He will completely miss you and he will miss the second attack that follows. With this move, he shoots some fireworks on the ground around him and then he follows up with a small AoE attack. I have found personally that by sticking to his left or slightly behind him, you can completely avoid the fireworks on the floor. You can also run away to avoid the AoE attack. His final attack is his red attack, in which he slams his entire body on the ground and then swings both arms around his sides. The best way to avoid this, just run away from it, even though he got me here. If you want to parry him, I would say the whole attack before the initial hit is around about 3 seconds. But be careful with red attacks, because if you do miss the parry, it'll do a heck of a lot of damage. The second hit is around about 2 seconds after the red attack. But once again, it's probably better to just run away from it. You should now be in phase 2. With his first move, he jumps in the air and spins towards you as he lands. From the moment he's in the air, it's about a second until impact. If you're dodging him, dodge either right or left and then punish that attack with one hit. With his next move, he throws his weapon at you and then dashes towards it instantaneously to hit you a second time. Count 1 second between the throw and the first impact and then half a second for the second hit. If you are dodging him, dodge the first weapon throw and he'll miss you with the second hit, allowing you to punish him afterwards. Now the issue with second phase is because he moves so fast, a lot of his movesets can be seen as 4-hit or 5-hit combos. Now I might be able to break down every single one of his moves, but you might find that when you're fighting him, he throws all of them at you together. So with this section of the video, what I aim to do is make you aware of his moves so you know what to expect when he's about to do them. That will allow you to also get better with either dodging them or parrying them as time goes by. This move, although pretty fast, is easy to dodge. The red eyes are your indication to dodge. Once you see the red eyes, move away so he won't hit you. This move is probably going to be the one that throws you off guard the most, because you instinctively think he's going to hit you as he comes close to you, but the actual hit is as he spins around. So the trick here is to dodge at the very last second as opposed to dodging when he's close to you, which is probably going to be very difficult to remember, but once you get it down, it's pretty okay. It's the same thing with parrying. The only difference of parrying is it's difficult to get down a specific time frame in which you should parry. So the best thing that I can tell you is wait until you see the back of his head. Once you see the back of his head, press that parry button and you should parry him. A lot of times throughout the fight, you'll see him drag his scythe across the floor like this, leaving a fire trail behind him. Try your best to not step in this fire trail because it does a lot of damage. He does, however, love to follow up with another move after the fire trail. Sometimes he'll jump in the air and then spin towards you as he lands, like the first move that he does in the second phase, or he'll do the same thing but this time follow up with a red attack. Now his red attack is he hoists himself up with his scythe and then stamps on the floor. You can easily dodge this by running around him so that you avoid the attack and then punish him from behind. If you are parrying him from the very beginning, he takes around about 10 perfect parries to be able to get the first white outline around his health bar. Be mindful though, because he will not allow you to stagger him until he's either idle or he's in the middle of an animation. So be patient with him, let him do his thing and then get that sweet visceral once the chance is available. He also loves throwing these kind of combos at you every time around the fight. It's very difficult to pinpoint the time frame of when to parry, but I would say a good rule of thumb is to always wait a second or a second and a half between each hit to be able to parry him. But let's take a look at these combos real quick. This first one is a spin attack followed by 3 swipes and then an uppercut. The spin with the 3 swipes count about 1 second between each hit. From the 3 swipes to the uppercut, it's around about 1.5 seconds. The second combo is 4 moves of the exact same type and they are all 1 second between each hit. Now with Romeo being as difficult as he is capable of not only mixing these combos completely differently but also shortening them. So sometimes he'll just hit you with 2 hits instead of all 4. Sometimes he'll hit you with all 4, sometimes he'll hit you with 1. It doesn't really matter with him. His AI is quite fluid with doing this. But as long as you are parrying or dodging him correctly as well as punishing him when the chances are available, you should be okay no matter how long it takes, because it will take a while for you to get used to the moves as well as damage him while you do it. Remember Remember this guy? Here's where he comes in handy. Throughout the entirety of your fight, you should see your Fable building up. I recommend not using your Fable art until this very moment. Once you see him charge up his scythe like this, your Fable art will knock him completely out of this move he's about to do. This move is very devastating. It has killed me a heck of a lot of times and it lasts way too long. Now, there are guides out there that tell you can just walk to the side or to the left or something like that, but it's not so easy for me to do, and this is the best way that I figured out that works. If you use your Fable arts, you can knock him completely out of it and he doesn't do it. If you are dodging, however, he does this move twice. He'll do it around half health and he'll do it again when he's almost about to die. Make sure to recharge your Fable after the first time using your Fable arts so that you're ready for him again. With this move, he charges across the ground, leaving a trail of fire behind him, then he jumps towards you. The only part of this move that does any damage to you is right here. The others do not, making this move pretty easy to dodge. This attack right here is another variation of the red attack that I spoke of earlier, only this time he jumps up in the air, spins, and then ground stomps. If he does hit you, he will follow up with another spin slam attack. If you are both parrying or dodging, the best thing to do is to run away from it. Another variation of the same red attack is this one right here, and honestly it's all the same. Just run away from them and you'll be alright. One more thing to note, if you are going for a weapon break, he takes a round total of 30 perfect parries to break his weapon. And that's about it for the King of Puppets. Honestly, this boss is very difficult, so take your time, do not be greedy, dodge when you can, punish when you can, and parry when you can, and you should be alright. Even if you die, it's okay, you just know what to do on the next round. Champion Victor. This boss's phase 1 and phase 2 are on the same health bar. He boasts a lot of health and a lot of moves, so let's get into them real quick. First things first, just a quick note, his first phase is weak to decay, his second phase is weak to fire. So the first move we are looking at is this charge attack right here where he goes down onto the floor to charge up and then he rushes at you with a right hand slap. This move can be easily dodged, so it's not too detrimental, and you can run behind him to give him a little one tap. If you are looking to parry him, I suggest counting about 3 seconds from the moment he's on the floor. The timing of this move does differentiate depending on how far away he is from you. So if he's slightly closer to you, it'll take a lot shorter, but the furthest he can be away from you should take 3 seconds. The next move we are looking at is this one right here. It is a left hand swipe, right hand uppercut, spin, right hand backhand, and a right hand low blow. From the moment he charges his left arm, count 2 seconds for the first hit, 1 second for this hit, 2 seconds for the spin, into the backhand attack, and about 1.5 seconds for the low blow. I must warn you guys again, these are not accurate and specific pinpoint time frames in which you can perfect parry these moves. These are just to give you a good head start. It's just to give you like an idea of to when to press the parry button. Hopefully that'll propel you into actually learning the parry pattern so you can do it yourself. Pretty much all of Victor's combos can be easily dodged by just walking away from him. Just wait for him to finish his animation, then hit him with either one attack or a charge attack. The next move is a simple ground stomp. Pretty easy to dodge, and you can punish him with a charge attack right after. Count 1 second after lifting his foot to perfect parry him. With this move, he jumps back and then walks towards you as he slams both arms on the floor. Counts 3 seconds from the moment he jumps back to be able to perfect parry the move. The same goes for dodging, just walk away and you'll be fine. The next move is his grab attack. He starts by screaming, then stretches out his left arm to try and grab you. Very easy move to dodge, just walk backwards and let him finish his animation, and you can even punish him with a charge attack. Just make sure he doesn't grab you because this happens. Yeah. His next move is this red attack with his right foot. Once again, pretty easy to dodge, but this time I do suggest running because he does take a little step forward before actually hitting you, which might throw you off guard. But on the bright side, you can punish him with the charge attack. If you plan on parrying him, count about 3 seconds from the moment he starts glowing red. Moving on, we have his second combo, which consists of 2 red attacks. This is a 5-hit combo and probably his longest one. From the 4 steps he takes up to the first attack is around about 3 seconds. From there, count 2 seconds for the red attack, 1 second, 2 seconds for this attack, and 2 seconds for the final one. When it comes to dodging, the moment you see him take those 4 steps is your chance to run. I suggest running because trying to dodge the red attacks are impossible unless you have the Ghost Walk amulet. Wait until he has completely finished his animation and then you can punish him with a charge attack. This next move is a simple low blow from the left hand. He normally does it after jumping to his left side. If you are parrying him, count 3 seconds from the moment he jumps and that should be a perfect parry. He also also does the same move for his right side, but either way, it's a very easy move to dodge. With this move, he shouts and then swipes both arms, starting with the right arm first before going down into the ground, getting ready for his charge attack. I wouldn't worry about parrying this move too much at all. I just run to the side of him, just let him do his animation. It is at no detriment to you, and if you are close enough, you can get some free hits in. This next move is a 3-hit combo consisting of only his right hand. It is a charged right hand swipe, then a backhand with the same hand followed by a low blow. To parry this move, you want to count 2.5 seconds from the moment he starts charging his hand. From the first hit to the second hit is about 1.5 seconds. From the second hit to the third hit is 1.5 seconds too. If you are dodging him, he does not complete this combo. This gives you the perfect chance to dodge behind him and hit him with a charge attack. If for some reason he does continue the combo, not to worry, you should be behind him at this point, which means he'll completely miss you anyway. The next combo is this charged right, left, right. Now this combo is a variant of the other attack where he charges exactly the same way to start off and then hits you with 3 attacks from his right arm. The way to tell the difference between the 2 attacks is that with the first one, the charged attack from his right arm is a lot longer than the second one. There is about a 1 second difference between charge times from combo A to combo B. There's about 2 seconds between the charge and the initial hit of this combo, and then 1 second between each hit afterwards. Once again, if you are dodging him, then I don't think he completes every single combo, but in the off chance that he does, you should already be behind him or just run away from him. Another move he has is this charged upward slash. Pretty easy to dodge because you can see it coming. Count 2 seconds from the moment he starts charging for the perfect parry. He does have an alternate version of this move, which is a red attack. Now he only did this red attack when I was dodging him, not when I was parrying him. Best way to deal with it is to either completely disengage or run to his left. Now Victor does have a few throwaway moves, and these moves he adds on to another move that I've already spoken about. He can also execute these throwaway moves with both his hands. It's just better to either disengage completely or dodge accordingly. If you are perfect parrying champion Victor, I counted approximately 11 perfect parries to be able to get the white outline around his health bar. Once you get the white outline around his health bar, wait for the right moment to charge attack him. Don't be afraid to also follow him because he staggers backwards. Get some damage in before you also do the riposte. Especially if you have a fast weapon, there's a high chance you should be able to charge attack him twice before getting the riposte, doing a lot more damage than usual. If you are dodging him, like always, it'll take a heck of a lot longer to get the white outline around his health bar, but if you keep dodging him accordingly and punishing him with both attacks and charged attacks, you will break his guard. Do not be afraid to go for 2 more charged attacks before going for the riposte. One more thing to note, he does take quite a while to get back up, but you have to wait a couple seconds before you're able to hit him. You can probably get in like 1 or 2 more charge attacks as he's standing up. Now let's take a look at second phase. Now phase 2 is completely the same as phase 1, except this time he has added 1 extra move to each combo that I've spoken about in phase 1. Also, he has 1 other combo that he's added to phase 2, so we'll talk about them real quick. First move we are looking at is this 3-hit combo where he heavy slams his right arm, then the left, then both at the same time. There are 3 seconds from when he starts roaring into the first hit, 1 to 1.5 seconds for the second hit, and then 3 seconds for the third hit. While dodging, you have enough time to stay out of his reach and just let him finish his animation. You can even punish him with a charge attack once he's done. Another thing Victor does occasionally is 1 single charge slap. He does this at phase 1 if you are dodging him only, but this time in phase 2 if you are parrying him it's just 1 slap. This combo is from phase 1, only this time the final move is a downward heavy slam as opposed to a low blow. It's around about 2 to 2.5 seconds for that final hit to land. If you're not confident with it, just dodge at the right time. This stomp is also from phase 1, but this time he adds a second stomp after it. Again, if you're not confident, you can just dodge the second stomp or count 2.5 seconds to perfect parry it. This charge attack is probably going to be the one that knocks you off guard the most. It's the exact same as phase 1, but with a little twist. So if you perfect parry the first initial attack after the charge, he only does it 1 time. If you dodge or miss the first attack, he will charge at you again a second time. If you perfect parry it the second time, then he'll only do it twice. If you are not parrying and you're focused on dodging him, then he will do this move 3 times consecutively. You can always dodge under his right arm at the right time to miss the attack. If at any point you block the attack and not perfect parry, he'll follow up with a left hand punch. Once again, if you block and not perfect parry. One thing to note is that Victor is the first one who tries to fight back after you have broken his posture. I normally don't bother parrying this move. I just step back, let him finish the animation, then charge attack him twice before getting in that visceral attack. This move is also from phase 1, but this time he adds an uppercut to the end of the combo. From the moment he hits you with the low blow, count about 3.5 seconds to perfect parry the uppercut. Or you could just dodge it if you're not comfortable with it. I can't tell you the amount of times that I was trying to fight him while dodging him and I completely forgot about the uppercut. Don't forget, the final move he does in phase 2 is this jump attack, and he only did this move to me while I was dodge focused and not parry focused, which leads me to believe that he does this move if you are a certain distance from him. It's a pretty easy move to dodge. You can either go left or right, and you can punish him with a charge attack once he's done. One more thing to note, be mindful of your weapon durability, because for some reason parrying or hitting this boss brings down your weapon durability. And that is it for Champion Victor. I know it's a heck of a lot to cover, but knowing is half the battle and learning is half the fun. The rest of it is just rinse and repeat until you actually get it. Green Monster of the Swamp. This boss is a two-faced fight with both phases having full health bars. He is surprisingly one of the easier bosses between mid to late game. So first things first, if you are dodging him, I want you to get yourself over to Venini's and craft yourself the Aegis Shield. Once you've done that, make sure to upgrade it to the second upgrade. This allows you to hold the shield out until an enemy attacks you. You will need this for phase 2 of this fight. Another item you will need to equip is Venini's Urgent Repair Tool. This is because this boss destroys your weapon durability faster than any other boss in the game, so the repair tool is just handy to have for these situations. One more thing to note, this boss is really weak to fire in the first phase and electricity in the second phase. Now you can still use fire in the second phase, but I tested them both out, and for me electricity was more effective. But if you have an amazing build incorporating fire, feel free to use that. So the first move we are taking a look at is this red charge attack. It's the first move he will do as soon as you step into the boss room. Another move that he likes to do is to dig underground and charge towards you. Both of these moves can simply be avoided by staying at the entrance of the boss room. You can also punish the boss by getting in a charge attack and a few other hits if you're able to. This boss also frequently uses both of these attacks throughout the fight in phase 1. So the moment you see him start digging into the ground, turn tails and run the other way. As soon as he comes up out of the ground, you can also punish him with a charge attack and a few hits. The moment you see him glow red and he starts to charge towards you, counts 3 to 4 seconds and you should be able to perfect parry him. This is of course dependent on how far away the boss is from you, and because this is a charge attack, I understand it'll be slightly more difficult to pinpoint exactly when to parry. So I'm going to attempt to pause the video at the right moment where I believe you should press the parry button to be able to parry the boss. Here. Right here is the perfect time to press the parry button. He has to be around about this close for the game to count your parry as a perfect parry. Now it might take a few tries to get down, but once you get it down, it's so easy. Because this parry will stagger him every single time, you can also punish him with a charge attack or a few moves that'll do some good damage. Alternatively, you can just stay by the monster's side the entire time and he will not do the red attack or the underground attack. Admittedly, this does leave you wide open because you are super close to him, which means he can attack you at any point. But this does avoid the two biggest attacks that he has in phase 1. And at the end of this video, you should know every single one of his attacks so you know what to do. If for some reason you are in front of him and he does do this move, just run away from him. He normally does around about 9 steps before the red attack charges over. You can also time this and charge attack him or attack him after the animation. The next move we are taking a look at is this 3 heavy slam combo starting with the right arm. In all honesty, you don't have to parry these at all. You can either dodge left or right and you'll be perfectly fine. You can also get a few hits in as he's trying to do this combo. The problem, however, is the final hit, which is a red attack. From the moment he starts glowing, it's about 3 seconds into the perfect parry. Alternatively, because the move takes so long, you have enough time to run around the boss, get behind him, and the move should miss you. This also leaves the boss completely open to some serious damage, so get in there. If you see the boss lower its head and shake it vigorously like this, it's a tentacle attack. From the moment you see him shake his head, it's about 3.5 seconds for the first hit. For the second hit, you're gonna have to feel it. It's not exactly instant, but it's too quick to be timed. I would say it's within the space of half a heartbeat, but you can experiment with that. Alternatively, you could just run away the second you see him shaking his head. The other thing he does after shaking his head is an acid attack. If you are far away from him, just run away from the acid. If you are close to him, either run left or right to avoid it. This move is both the easiest to dodge and the best to punish. As soon as you see him scream like this, wait for the attack of the left arm. Once he attacks you, dodge to his left and then put about 4 or 5 seconds of damage as he continues and finishes his animation. If you see the boss walk sideways like this, get out of there. It's a tentacle attack. It's just better and safer to leave the area and let the boss finish his animation. This move right here is a grab attack. It really doesn't do anything else but pull you closer to the boss. It still does do some damage though, so dodge accordingly towards him and punish him for it. This move right here is just a left arm swipe. He does this quite a bit. It's pretty easy to dodge. If you want to perfect parry this move, count 2 seconds after you see his body turn to his right. And last but not least, this tongue attack. He doesn't do this move often. It's very rare for him to do it. Because of this, I don't have any footage of him doing this move, and the one time he does do it, he gets me with it. But ultimately, if he does show you this move, you can either dodge left or right to avoid it. Let's take a look at phase 2. These swipes are what I call his primary moves. He does them all the time, and he alternates them too. So sometimes he'll do it once, sometimes twice, sometimes he'll do it in a full combo. The full combo consists of him spinning his hand at the end and then slamming it onto the floor, as well as the antennas on top of his head, as you can see right here. But if you notice, I don't parry these moves. I prefer dodging them and hitting him in between. It is, in my opinion, the most effective way to deal with this boss and get some good damage in there. Dodge left or right to avoid these moves and only hit him if you are able to. The other move this boss has is he will stand up on these 2 legs, twist his upper body upside down, and then start slamming his tentacles onto the floor. I do not bother engaging with the boss as he is doing this animation. I disengage, wait for him to finish, and then go back in to punish him as he is twisting his body back around. This takes a few seconds and you can probably get a couple hits in. This charge attack is the most devastating move this boss has in phase 2. He always starts when he is far away from you, and if you block or dodge this move, he will do it 3 times, with the 3rd one being a red attack. Parrying this move is exactly the same way as parrying the first phase red charge attack. Once he starts charging towards you, you have to wait until he is this close to you to be able to press the parry button and perfect parry him. If he isn't this close to you, it will not work and you will either block him or just miss it completely. If you are dodged focused, you can evade this move by running and dodging into him as he gets closer to you. But on the 3rd charge, don't do what I did here. Instead, you want to turn around and run backwards. Alternatively, and this is where the Aegis shield comes in, as soon as you see him charging, hold the shield out and it will perfect parry him. If for some reason he keeps charging, not a problem. Wait until the red attack. Once you see the red attack, turn around and run. He doesn't really run after you. His red attack is a tumble attack and he just rolls on the floor. This won't touch you if you are far away from him. You can also, of course, punish him with a charged attack after the animation. With this combo, he slams both his arms on the floor, one after the other, starting with the right hand, and the final one is his whole body on the floor as a red attack. He also slams both tentacles on the ground as well, and then sweeps them to their corresponding sides. Now, I don't bother parrying the first 2 moves. I'd rather dodge and hit him in between, but as soon as the 2nd arm hits, count 5.5 seconds to parry the red attack. Once you've parried the attack, you should be right in front of him in a safe space where the tentacles won't touch you. While he's whipping his tentacles to the sides, go in there and get a few hits in. He also takes a couple seconds to stand up, so use that to your advantage. If you are dodged focused, you want to dodge left or right for the first 2 attacks, but for the red attack, you want to run directly in front of him but the opposite direction. This should put you in that same safe space where he doesn't touch you and his tentacles doesn't touch you either. You can then go in there to get a charge attack in. Another thing this boss loves doing is jumping around a lot. There's not much to say for his jumping, except that every single one of them can be easily dodged, including the red attack that he does when he jumps. As long as you are not directly under him when you dodge his red attack, you will completely miss it, and you can also punish him whenever he gives you the chance to. But for my parry fiends, as soon as you see him start glowing red, count about 3 seconds for the perfect parry. If you see him swinging his arm like this, his left arm, he is only creating space between you and him, so don't really worry about it. You can just easily dodge it and just keep it moving. This boss does have some charge attacks with both his right and his left arm. They are easily dodged, but this one specifically, dodge towards his left and stay there and attack him. You can get a charge attack and a couple more hits if your weapon is fast enough. There is one more attack that this boss has, which is he lifts his entire body and then thrusts both tentacles at you. You can either dodge accordingly or use the Aegis shield. Now, if I'm being very honest with you, the shield is perfect for the majority of this boss's attacks, so feel free to use it. And that is everything you need to know for the green swamp monster. I didn't bother talking about how long it'll take or how many parries it will take attack to get the white outline around the health bar, because the majority of this boss fight was me dodging his moves as opposed to parrying them. I did parry bits and pieces here and there, but the majority of it was just dodgeable, or I'd leave him to finish his animation and then attack him. That's pretty much it. But now you should find him a lot easier to deal with, and you should be able to kill him. Maybe not first try, but when you keep doing it, you know what to do, you'll get him. Weasel, another humanoid boss that must be defeated before you progress. Honestly, there isn't much to say about Weasel. She is just like any other boss that you can get behind and get the backstab. You just rinse and repeat that until she's dead. However, there are a few things that I would like to note if you want this fight to be slightly easier. First and foremost, with her being a humanoid boss, she is weak to decay. So if you have any carcass body fluid throwing items, throw that at her to whittle her health down. Or if you have any weapons that proc decay or acid, they work very well too. So I'm letting the entire clip play so you can see exactly how I get the backstabs. Essentially, what you want to do is wait until she slams her axe down onto the ground. She has a couple seconds of frames where she doesn't move, allowing you to get behind her and get the backstab, but you have to be quick because she can also dodge you so you don't get it. Sometimes she'll throw items at you and then follow up with a slam of her axe, so you have to be careful for the items. Also be careful of her because she also closes the gap really quickly. But in all honesty, you can just dodge every single move until she slams her axe into the ground. That is your cue to get behind her and get the backstab. If she dodges it, do not worry, just rinse and repeat. If you are, however, able to get the backstab at any other time, feel free to do so. It's free damage. Another thing that I want to note is that after you've gotten the backstab and the visceral attack, you can attack her immediately as she's on the ground. If you miss this opportunity, she will dodge you and you will miss the chance. As you can see, this character is very low level, so it took me a heck of a lot longer to be able to whittle down her health or even beat her, but I am very confident that you being a decent level at this point in the game, you will do considerably more damage and kill her quickly. Now, she doesn't show it in this clip, but she does have a red attack that she performs, which is when she throws an item at you and then closes the gap towards you as she jumps in the air and slams down with her axe. If this gets you, it does a lot of damage. Me being this low level, it does kill me in one hit, but it is so laughably easy to avoid or evade that there's not even much point talking about it. In all honesty, if you want to figure out how to dodge it, you have to dodge the item she throws. Once you dodge that, then she will miss you completely. Also, a rule of thumb for this boss fight is to always dodge to her right. Once you're able to dodge to her right, especially when she slams the axe down on the floor, it's an easy target for the backstab. And that's about everything for Weasel. I genuinely don't see anybody struggling with this boss, but I added her to this list because I had to put every single boss that you fight that you can't progress without beating them. Whether it's a mini boss, a main boss, or just a very huge or very powerful enemy, I add them to the list as long as the game forces you to beat them before you progress. Honestly, I don't even know what this thing is called, so I'm just gonna call it the Carcass Giant. He stands knocking in front of a door and you need to defeat him to open that door. So I'm gonna need you to equip some thermites, a shot put or some shot puts, however many you have, and a fire abrasive. All of these items can be infinitely bought from the merchant in Marlem District. So first things first, throw the 5 thermites at the enemy. If you have 5 of them, it should give him a status effect and do chip damage to his health. Next up, throw the shot put. I only had one was enough. If you have more, you can throw more. At this point, you should now apply the fire abrasive to your weapon. Once you've applied it, all you need is 4 charged attacks. His health has gone down to the point where only 4 is needed to kill him. Now, mind you, I am using the Trident of the Covenant in this clip, and it is, I think, at +2 or +3 at this point. So with that, it required only 4 charge attacks, but for the weapon you're using, it might take slightly more or slightly less. Walker of Illusions. This boss does not have many moves, neither does she have a second phase. Her small amount of moves makes her capable of chaining the attacks that she has at will. I believe she is weak to fire, so any fire weapons or throwables will be very helpful in this fight. First up, her 4-hit spin attack. She raises her blade to her left and then starts to spin, hitting you with both the blade and the dagger as she moves. Should be about half a second the moment you see her raise the blade. She spins really fast on this move, so you'll have to just feel it. The second spin is almost immediately after the first one. It's really fast, so it can't be timed, but it's somewhere about half a heartbeat. If you are dodge focused, dodge towards her left to avoid this move. In all honesty, dodging her is so much easier than parrying her. Majority, and I mean 95 to 99% of her moves can just be evaded by dodging to her left. She does have an alternate spin attack where she hits you with the blade first and then spins twice, hitting you with only the dagger. The parry timing for this alternate move is exactly the same as the first spin that I showed you. The only difference is she is not hitting you with the blade, only the dagger. From the moment you see her charge up, her blade is about 1 second until the initial hit, and then 1.5 seconds for the first dagger attack. The second dagger attack is half a second later. If you are dodge focused, dodge to her left, and you can punish her with a charge attack. This move is a longer version of her charged blade attack. As I said earlier, she doesn't have very many moves at all, but she chains them so much and so frequently, it makes it look like she has multiple combos. But after this section, you can see all the moves that she has and then see how she chains them so you know what to expect. For this attack, she hits you with the blade, spins, and then hits you with the dagger as she power drives it to the floor. From the moment you see her cross her arms, it's 1 second for the initial hit and then 2 seconds for the power drive dagger. She also likes to go into this combo afterwards, so be ready for that too. With this move, she slashes you 4 times and the 5th is a red attack. This combo was a little tricky to parry because some moves are faster than others. From the moment she raises her hand, is about half a second for the initial hit, half a second for this one. From the second to the third hit is also another half a second, but for the 4th hit, it's almost immediately. About 3 seconds for the final hit, which is a red attack. If you are dodge focused, dodge to the right to avoid the red attack because she lunges at you with that move. Now I know that this is the clone and not the actual boss, but it's perfectly fine because the clone does what the boss does. So if the clone does it, that means the boss does it and it's valid. On the topic of clones, this boss summons 2 of them, one when she's half health and the other when she's just about to die. These clones have exactly the same moves as the boss, so everything that I've explained can be used against them. The only plus side, however, to this is that they have much less health. These clones take around about 7 perfect parries to get the white outline around their health bar. 2 charge attacks followed by a visceral should completely kill them. They are not much of a problem at all, and if you don't feel like parrying, you could always just throw items at them. Whether you have the shot put or the thermite throwables, and their health should be done. This is the final move that she has, where she lunges at you with 2 power drive daggers to the floor. She only does this move when she is quite a distance away from you and she wants to close the gap. From the moment you start to see her jumping count in about 2 seconds, and that should be the first perfect parry. The second one is about 1 to 1.5. Or you could just dodge out of the way to her left and then punish her with a charge attack. The Fuoco of Illusions takes around about 9 perfect parries to get the first white outline around the health bar. Once you see it, charge attack her to break her posture, charge attack her a second time before doing the visceral attack. Once you have finished the visceral, feel free to charge attack her 1 more time before she stands up. One more thing to note, this boss has the tendency of running away from you when the white outline around the health bar shows. This is because she has the ability to completely remove it. Essentially, she goes to a corner away from you, she lets out a scream that staggers you and removes the white outline around the health bar. Now I don't show her doing this because I am tired of her shit. I've worked way too hard to get the white outline and I want to stagger her so I can get the riposte, which is why I highly suggest combining your fire weapon with the booster glaive handle. The booster glaive handle is absolutely beautiful for closing gaps. If you do not have the booster glaive handle, the next best option is to throw a shot put at her. The shot put will stagger her immediately. And that is everything for the Fuoco of Illusions. Honestly, it will still be a trial and error kind of situation when it comes to fighting her and getting over her as a hurdle. But at least with this video or this section of the video, you can now know what to expect in terms of beating her. Do not be too aggressive or be too greedy. I'd say focus more on punishing her attacks. Corrupted Parade Master. This boss has no second phase and is very weak to either fire or electric attacks. The first move he will probably do as soon as you enter the boss arena is this one right here, where he hops twice towards you and then swings at you with his weapon. And sometimes he'll even swing his arm back the other way too for a second attack. As soon as you see him raise his arm up like this, it's around about 3 seconds until the first perfect parry. Counting from the first hit, you have around about 2 seconds for the second one. If you are dodge focused, this attack is very easy to see coming. You can dodge to his left and then either charge attack him or run away and throw some items at him. This move right here, I would say he does more than any other move. He throws his body on the floor and then starts to slam his arms on the floor 4 times while coming towards you. As soon as you see him in the air, run away from him and keep your distance. Allow him to finish the 4 animations of the slam attack of his arms. Once he's done, it takes a while to stand up, so charge attack him and hit him 1 more time with a normal attack. If you feel like your weapon is fast enough to attack him a couple more times before he stops his animation of standing up, feel free to do so. It's more damage. Just make sure you are out of there before he hits you. If you have a fully charged Fable, there is no better time to use it than now. He takes so long to stand up, you can get the whole thing off of him and get some free damage in. This move is pretty simple. He he tries to hit you with a like 180 attack, but it's easy to run away from. If you do want to parry, count 2 seconds from the moment you see him kind of crouch down, and then 1.5 seconds for the second hit. He does this shoulder barge quite frequently, but because it's so easy and slow that I see it coming, I just move away from it completely. He does like to follow up with this right arm swing, but you'll be far enough away to where he doesn't hit you, so it doesn't matter. This boss loves to spit out minions to aid in his fight. There are 2 types of minions that he spits out. There is a weaker one and there's a one with more range, somewhat stronger one. However, both these minions don't have much health and they can be dealt with 1 or 2 charged attacks. But don't be like me in this clip, because right here, as soon as that minion came out, I tried to kill it, which is when the boss got me with his grab attack. Now he does do this grab attack quite frequently, but majority of the time you should be far away from him so it doesn't touch you. In the off chance you end up behind him, he might do this 360 attack to try and get you. But again, you should be so far away from him it doesn't matter. If you do find yourself next to him when he does this move, just dodge in either direction and you should be fine. He does like to follow up with a slam attack, so be careful with that. I call this next move Corruption Shockwave. He sticks his left arm into the floor and a corruption wave comes at you in a straight line. Run to his right to avoid this move. You can also punish him with a Fable or charged attack. Another move he does is this combo right here where he runs towards you and swipes his left arm at you with more range. Now if you dodge to his left and keep running that way, he'll also swipe the arm back and then follow him with a red attack. He also has the tendency to follow up with any of the other attacks that I've spoken about before, so be ready for those. The red attack I spoke of earlier can easily be dodged by either running to his right or away from him. If at any point you are lucky enough to break his stagger with a charged attack, feel free to charge attack him a second time before going for the repulse. Once you've done the repulse, he takes so long to stand up, you can probably get in 2 more charged attacks. This is probably the only boss that allows you this much time to damage him. Don't waste it. And with that, that is everything you need to know about the Corrupted Parade Master. Honestly, he is a very slow boss and majority of his attacks you can definitely see coming. Just try not to be greedy because he can also catch you off guard too. Black Rabbit Brotherhood Boss Fight Part 2. This boss fight is a little different because 3 bosses are fighting you at the exact same time, so we're gonna do something different too. Each time you enter into the boss room, any of the 3 Rabbit Brotherhoods will attack you randomly, and throughout the entire fight, when you've done significant or enough damage to either one of them, they can swap out and someone else swaps in. One tip that I can give you, and it applies to these 3 guys right here, try to anticipate their attack. You can see the range of your weapon, you know the range that you are capable of. Try to anticipate if they're close enough and then attack them before they attack, because that way you can stagger them and get some damage in. If you are fighting the Battle Maniac, his left side is his weakest point. You can dodge to his left and evade every single one of his moves. A lot of times if he finishes a combo and you've been dodging to his left, you will end up behind him, allowing you to get a backstab. He does still have the puppet string from the first fight, so he can use that at any time and he can get you with it, so be careful. One more tip, and it applies to these 3 right here. Anytime you get a backstab and they are on the floor, charge attack them before they stand up. If you are fighting the youngest, she is the fastest but has the least HP or health. There's a specific move she does when she's far away from you and she dashes towards you like a low sweep. If she does that and you're far away enough, dodge backwards. This will put you behind her, allowing you a backstab. Or if you find yourself behind her already, then get the backstab anyway. But honestly, the rest of her attacks can be dodged either left or right. She does love throwing you in the air, but she confuses you with it. She'll first jump towards you and then she'll jump upwards, throwing you in the air. Make sure you dodge the actual jump and not the jump towards you to confuse you. Now I tried to get it here but I failed, but if you are quick enough after this specific move, you can also get a backstab. One more thing about her is that whether you are or you are not focused on her at that moment in time, she throws knives at you, so be careful of those. If you are fighting the eccentric of the 3, he is the easiest to get a backstab. Literally every single one of his moves, if you are dodging him, can get you behind him to get a backstab. Sometimes the backstabs might be a little glitchy, but it's honestly the best way to get it, to get his health down. You can honestly just rinse and repeat this until he's dead. During the entirety of the fight, whether you are or not fighting him, he throws an explosive at you, so be careful of that. One more thing that I should mention is that a lot of times they will be in their animations getting ready to fight you. You can run behind them and get a backstab as they are talking. This really helps with doing damage to them, and if you do enough, you can make the fight a heck of a lot easier. Just make sure that you constantly charge attack them as they're on the floor before they stand up. At any point in time, use what you have available in your arsenal. Right here I use a shield as well as my Fable arts. Another thing you also want to do is make make sure to kill 2 of them at the same time. The last thing you want is to fight the eldest brother with any of these 3. The eldest brother will not appear until one of them remains, so the best thing to do is to kill one of them off at the start, and then the remaining 2 bring their health down as low as possible together and then kill them together, so you only have to focus on the eldest brother. At the start of the eldest brother fight, you can throw some thermites at him or whatever other items that you have. Throw it at him just to get his health down a little bit. If you see him charging his arm like this, run to a nearby structure to avoid the shockwave. Aside from that specific move, every single other move of the eldest brother can just be waited out. You can literally just wait until he finishes his animation, charge, attack him, rinse and repeat that until he's dead. At any given point in time, you can use your fable or use other items if you want to kill him that way, but it's so easy to do this. He is absolutely parryable and you can break his weapon again, but I don't bother talking about this aspect of the fight because I genuinely believe he is so different to the first fight. During the first fight, I spoke about how to parry his moves, but he has kind of the same moves in this second fight, but I feel like it's slightly more delayed, or there's just something off with it that you always get it wrong, so I don't bother parrying him, but you can if you want to. Door Guardian. This boss is the Souls-like equivalent of a gimmick boss fight. He is very slow, his moves are easily telegraphed, and he requires only 2 visceral attacks to finish him off. The trick to this fight is to stay somewhat behind him and target his right leg. His right leg is his weakness and only give it charged attacks. There are a few moves that you need to look out for, especially this one. This is a red attack where he jumps on the floor and then goes into a roll attack. He doesn't always do this, but when he does do this move, just disengage and run away from him. Don't do what I did here. Another move you need to look out for is this red attack kick. In all honesty, I didn't see this move coming, so I died to it, but when you see this move starting up, run away from him in the opposite direction. Once you have done enough damage to him, he will stagger and fall. Give him another charge attack before you go for the visceral, which does incredible damage to his health. Once you're done with the visceral attack, you can run around him to get a charged attack at the right weak leg. That can help you in the long run because you only need a few more to get him down again. If you would like to use any items for this boss fight to make it easier, shot puts are your best friend. They do incredible stagger damage, and a few of them at his leg could also bring him down. And that is about it for the Door Guardian. Aside from the moves that I mentioned and you targeting his right leg, every other move can be easily dodged. As long as you keep charging, attacking that right leg, he will go down and you can get the visceral attack. You only need it twice to kill him. Honestly, I don't see anybody struggling with this boss, but you have to be sure to not be greedy, otherwise he will hit you and he does do a lot of damage. Laxasia The Complete. Listen, this is probably the hardest boss in the whole game. With everything I'm going to explain in this part of the video, she will still be difficult. You will still die a few times and a few times over. Unless you've beaten her before, you want to stand her moves, or you've just been facing her for a very long time, so you kind of know what to expect. If this is your first time, buckle up because she is so difficult. So before we begin, there are a few things that I believe you need or you should have. As she is human or a humanoid boss, she is weak to acid. Personally, I would suggest using the crystal acid spear, and any handle you put on it is good as long as it has some range to it. If you are parrying her, you don't need much except for this weapon and the shield, the Aegis shield. If you are more dodge focused, then there's something that I genuinely implore you to get, and that is this specific handle right here, or any other handle that has this specific skill on it. Also, this item right here is perfect to have. It completely gets rid of any electric or shock status, so it stops your fable from being eaten away. Another item that I think is very important to have is the Legion's magazine, just in case you run out of Legion from using your shield. Okay, so first things first, we are looking at this charge attack that she does right here. She normally does it as soon as you enter into the boss room, but she can do this move at any other given point around the first phase of her fight. The indication that she's about to attack and you should perfect parry this move is when she stops charging and she kind of goes lower to swing her weapon. Around the point when she stops charging and starts trying to hit you is probably the best time to perfect parry the move. If you miss the perfect parry, you'll just block it, which is outright better than her hitting you and you flying in the air. It does a lot of damage. If you are dodge focused, the same principle applies, except this time wait until she's about to start attacking, dodge at the last moment, but this time dodge towards her. She'll push you backwards, but that gives you enough enough time to charge attack her. With this specific move, you have to be careful because if you dodge wrongly and you somehow end up behind her, she will always follow up with this move, which is 2 slams and a red attack. Now the move is easily dodged, but this is why I say to be careful because you can be caught off guard with it. If she does do it, just run away from her, wait for her to finish her animation, then go back to her and give her a couple charge attacks, maybe one if you have a big weapon. Another move that she is most likely to do as soon as you enter into the boss room is this move right here, where she runs up to you and slams a sword on the ground, creating an explosion of electricity. Honestly, I wouldn't bother parrying this one, just dodge when she gets to you, then run behind her and give her a charge attack. The next move we are looking at is this double swing into a heavy slam, followed by some streaks of lightning on the floor. From the moment you see her scratching her weapon on the floor, it's around about 2 seconds for the first perfect parry. The second one is pretty instant, but the third one is around about 3 seconds straight after the second attack. Dodge towards her to avoid the lightning attack on the floor. If you are dodging, disengage from her completely and then run towards her left or right to avoid the streak on the floor and give her a charge attack before she stands up. This right here is probably her most devastating move in phase 1. If she catches you with this, she never finishes the entire combo before your health depletes. Kind of like Lies of P's version of Melania's waterfowl dance from Elden Ring, this move is absolutely nuts. So she does this move in a sequence. The first one is 1 hit, the second one is 3 hits, the third one is 6 hits, and the fourth one is 3 hits, with the last 2 hits being 2 spins on the ground. From the moment you see her enter into this stance is about 2 seconds for the first perfect parry. There's around about 2 seconds from the first hit into the second hit, which begins the second sequence of 3 hits. It's also around about 2 seconds from the last move of the second sequence to the first move of the third sequence. To parry the 3 hits and the 6 hits, it's a matter of understanding the tempo of the move. The way I learned to parry this combo is to constantly repeat the move in my head. Then as time went by, I turned the move into sound, repeating that same sound every time in my head. I was able to translate it into pressing L1 where the sound should be. For instance, it sounds silly, but this is the sequence in my head. Bap, 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 bap. Once you get that down, just press your parry button where the baps should be. If you are more dodge focused, just disengage completely. You can disengage from her and just wait until she finishes the entire animation. Now she does follow you as she does this move, so make sure you have enough space behind you to be able to run. If she points her weapon at you in this manner, she's going into a 3-hit combo, which is also a grab attack. I usually dodge the first 2 and then parry the third one. By parrying the third one, it staggers her. You may not be close enough to punish that third move, but at least you get the satisfaction of parrying her. If you do wish to parry her, it's about 3 seconds after the second strike. Now she does have a faster version of this exact same move, and it does the same thing except she doesn't do the pose at the beginning. Be careful of this move because it doesn't do that much damage, but it will give you a shock status. But you should have the item to counter that, so you should be alright. Another thing to note is that if you dodge the fast attack correctly and you punish her quickly, she will follow up with a kick and a sword poke. Now if you're as lucky as I am, she does it 3 times in a row. Throughout my experience of parrying her, she has never combined these 2 moves together, which are the grab attack and then the kick into the sword poke. But if she does it to you while you're parrying, I do apologize. You can just dodge or perfect parry if you're able to. Next on the list is this move right here, where she drags her sword on the ground in the shape of a crescent moon, leaving behind electric charges that explode after a while. I've always found it best to go inside the crescent moon so I can hit her as she does this move. If she sticks her sword in the air like this, it means she is about to hit you with 2 more attacks. Both these attacks are easily dodged and punishable, just don't get too greedy. If you are parrying, from the moment she raises her sword up, it's about 3.5 seconds for the first perfect parry. It's about 3.5 to 4 seconds for the second one because she charges it up. If you see her swing her sword backwards like this, one of 2 things are about to happen. She's either gonna slam once into a huge AoE effect and then slam down again as a red attack for another explosion of electricity. Wait until she finishes the entire animation, then go in and give her some attacks. The other thing that will happen is she will keep stomping the ground with her weapon as she walks towards you. Now it gets increasingly faster, with the last one being a red attack. I don't bother parrying this move either. I legit just disengage completely and wait for her to finish it off. After she's done a red attack, I go in and charge attack her or just give her a couple hits. Be mindful though, because she can do this attack at any given moment in time. I would just completely disengage and wait for her to finish the entire animation. If you're able to get in there, get a charge attack or get a couple hits in, it's really good for damage. This is obviously after the entire animation is done, not any time before or during. The final move we're taking a look at in this first phase is this 4-piece combo right here. This is the slowest combo in her arsenal and thus being the easiest to parry. Once you see her raise her weapon, count 2 seconds for the first perfect parry. From there, it's about 4 seconds for the second perfect parry, 2 seconds for this one, and about 4.5 to 5 seconds for the red attack. If you are dodging her, completely disengage, wait for her to finish the entire animation, then go in there and give her a charge attack. And that is all of her attacks from phase 1. At this point in time, it's just going to be constant rinse and repeat of her moves, and now you know which ones she's going to use and you know what to do to prepare for them. The best thing you can do is to not use as many of the pulse cells as you can, because the more you can keep for second phase, the better for you. Also, try your best to not use the shield as much as possible, because as much legion as you have for second phase, the better. Now, I don't know how accurate this will be for you, but for me personally, when I was parrying her, it took around about 12 perfect parries to get the first white outline around the health bar. Now, as I always say, it might be more for you, it might be less, but I think around about 12 is a perfect number. Now, please correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong, but I think there is a P organ that allows you to be able to parry more effectively. Now, I'm not too certain if this affects the number of parries that she requires to get the first white outline around the health bar. If that do be the case, then it could be either or, might be slightly higher than 12, maybe even 20, or it could be less. I'm not too sure, but I got around about 12. Either way though, once you see the white outline around the health bar, wait until you are able to charge attack her to break her stance. Once you've broken her stance, she does try to attack you with one sword swipe, so get out of the way for that. Once she's done that, charge attack her a second time before doing the repost animation. Feel free to charge attack her one more time before she stands up. You should now be in phase 2. Yes, I know I'm dodging the lightning attacks. You're supposed to parry them and send them back at her, but this character's focused on dodging. I just wanted to do it to show people it's okay to dodge it. But yes, don't worry, I do parry them as much as I can in my main character, or at least this level 1 character. Speaking of parrying them, I feel like these lightning bolts are very random. There are always 6 lightning bolts, but I feel like their speed always changes. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast. It's really difficult to gauge when to parry them, or at least to calculate the best time to do so. But hey, at least you know dodging is an option. Do you remember this handle that I told you needed at the start of this section of the video? Well, this is the perfect place it comes in handy, because you can use that Fable art to completely nullify her stomp. Once you've nullified it, you have enough time for 2 charged attacks, which is amazing and critical. The amazing thing about this weapon art or this ability is that you don't have to get the timing right. It just needs to be close enough to be able to work. So I probably should have mentioned this at the start of the video, but it goes without saying, try to save your Fable. It'll really help you in phase 2. Now, when it comes to actually parrying the stomp, I can't lie to you, this is the one move that I cannot explain. The best thing that I can say is it's a feeling. I had to just feel it until I got it right. So there's no way for me to explain to you how to parry this. So your best bet is to use the handle that I showed you previously. So she does this thing where she'll run beside you, jump in the air, and then hit you with the sword, then the shield, or vice versa. I've noticed she has 2 versions of the same move, one where her weapon is cloaked in lightning and the other when it isn't. I think the difference between the two is that when her weapon is cloaked in lightning, what follows next is an in-air, very fast thrust attack. Whereas if her weapon is not cloaked in lightning, the next move that follows is a stronger version of the same move she does. From the moment she stops running and she jumps, count 2 seconds for the first perfect parry. The second move is pretty instant, so press your parry button twice. If you're dodging, I've noticed you can perfectly time one dodge to evade both moves, even if she does the move twice like here. As for all her red attacks, it doesn't matter which one, you've got 2 options. You can either use a shield to completely nullify the attack, or you can use the weapon handle that I told you about at the start of the video for that ultimate guard. Laxasia has 6 red attacks in total in her phase 2. Only 5 of them do ridiculous damage if you don't block them or perfect parry them. And every single one of these attacks can be completely taken care of either by using the ultimate guard or by using the shield. The only thing about these 2 methods is you have to use them exactly when the move is about to start. You don't have to be perfectly right in your timing, but you need to use them slightly before the move starts. That way you are in or within the window for you to be able to ultimate guard or nullify the move. The only red attack I wouldn't worry about is this one right here, because as soon as you see her spin around, you could run away from her. Now she does slam her sword on the ground and she sets out a stream of electricity that goes completely around her. So this time, if you're close by, dodge into her or just completely run away. Laxasia also has a few jump attacks. This one where she sustains herself in the air, then slams down with pools of electricity around her that explode. This one where she throws electricity at you, sometimes two. This one where she jumps, spins and lands quickly, causing an explosion where she hits a blade on the floor. With this first one, wait around about 5 seconds as she's in the air and then dodge when she lands. You should end up behind her, give her a charge attack before she can move. With this one, as soon as she throws the electricity, it is instant. So I say about 2 or 3 seconds from the moment she jumps to parry the red ball of lightning back at her. If she throws 2 at you, the second one is usually 2 seconds after the first one. With this one, as soon as you see her landing, dodge behind her. If you end up behind her, charge attack her before she stands up. If you didn't, not a problem at all. It's best to move away and get ready for her next attack. Finally, we have this move where she sends 2 AoEs along the ground at you. She normally follows up with a very high speed attack. You can easily dodge all 3 hits and then punish her right afterwards. This move heavily depends on how far away she is from you, making it very difficult to time when it's best to dodge or it's best to parry. You can easily see the shockwaves on the ground coming towards you, but you might be thrown off by the move that follows. So I'd say your best bet is to either dodge all 3 moves or to use a shield to help you for the 3rd move. Keep in mind, if Laxasia is guarding and you try to hit her, she will shield bash you and then kick you. She also frequently does these 3 swipes right here, which in all honesty, I would say dodging is far better than parrying. This is because when parrying, she can end up behind you and hit you. The parry does not work if the enemy's behind you in Lies of P. You can definitely turn around and parry her if you are a seasoned player, but for everybody else, it's a little unrealistic to always remember to do so in the heat of the moment. So I would say dodging is the most reliable way to deal with these combos. Honestly, throughout this fight, it's not going to be a perfect one unless you're a seasoned player. You are always going to be hit. She is too fast and a lot of her moves you can't predict properly, but that's okay. For this fight, especially second phase, you really have to pace yourself, breathe and spend more time punishing her than being aggressive. If she hits you once, don't panic, just wait for the next opportunity to heal rather than trying to heal when she's trying to hit you. One more thing to note about Laxasia's phase 2 is that when she gets the white outline around her health bar, she protects herself with her shield. Your attacks or your throwables won't do anything. You kinda have to wait until when she is not guarding to be able to charge attack her and break her posture. Once you've done this, run away from her because she tries to hit you with 2 swipes and a huge AoE. Charge attack her a second time and then go for the visceral attack. Once you've done the visceral attack, take a step back and wait for her next move. There's a couple moves that I missed. One of them is this one right here where it's 3 shield bashes. She rarely does this one, but if she does, I run away from the first 2 and use the shield for the 3rd one. This is the second one right here, which is also very rare for her to do. She charges herself with electricity and then rushes at you 3 times with a shield bash, with the 3rd one being a red attack. Don't do what I did here. Instead, dodge the first 2 and then use the shield for the 3rd one. Or you can use the ultimate guard like I mentioned earlier. And that is everything you need to know for Laxasia phase 1 and phase 2. Honestly, she is a very difficult boss, so don't worry if you keep dying as long as you're learning, and I hope this video does help you out in terms of what to do with her moves. Try your best to not panic, do not be greedy, focus more on punishing her than being aggressive, and you should be okay. Simon Manus. This boss is fairly easy. He is more annoying than anything else. As he is a humanoid boss, he is weak to either acid or decay, so if you have any of those weapons, that'll come in handy. He does have a lot of health in second phase, so be prepared for that, but let's take a look at his moves. First up, we have this move that is a 7-hit combo. There is about 3 seconds from the charge up to the first initial parry, 2.5 for the second one, 2 seconds for this double hit, around about 4 seconds for the overhead slam, 3 seconds for this hit, and 3 seconds also for the final move. Feel free to punish him once or twice at the end because he staggers a little bit. You can also disengage from him quickly as he does this move. Just wait for him to finish and then punish him afterwards. A lot of the time he'll hit you with this backhand swing and then stagger afterwards. You don't have to parry him here, but if you want to, it's 1.5 seconds after he drops his weapon on the floor. I missed my chance here, but if you do get close enough, you can get a couple seconds of damage in. Just a quick note, he can follow up with a overhead attack, so be prepared for that. If he does, dodge into him and punish him. Another move he does is he stamps his weapon on the floor and creates a ring of fire. He then follows up with 2 swings, the second one having more range than the first one. Being aware away from the vicinity of the ring of fire allows you to dodge the first attack. If you're looking to parry the second attack, it is 3 seconds after the first one. Alternatively, dodge into him for the second attack to punish him after he does this move. If he throws his weapon on the ground like this, he is going for a jump attack, which is also a red attack. Once you see him about to throw his weapon like this, dodge that initial hit and then run in a semicircle either left or right, and you should miss this red attack every time. Just make sure you were kind of running towards where he was, but in a semicircle, if that makes any sense. If it don't make sense, the clips that I've shown is a perfect explanation of what I'm saying. At certain points during the fight, Manus will stagger, a perfect chance to use a fable or a charged attack. Another move he has is he swings his weapon in the air and then slams it on the floor, which is then followed by a second shockwave attack. I don't bother doing anything with this move except moving away from him and waiting for him to finish the animation. These 2-hit combos are the moves that he uses between each of the attacks that I've already spoken of. They all also have the same parry timings as the Ring of Fire move. The only difference is sometimes it's 1 attack, sometimes it's 2 attacks, sometimes it's 3, and he's capable of not only mixing them up but also adding them to other combos as well. He also adds a shoulder charge into the mix just to throw you off. But generally speaking, these moves are super slow, so they're really easy to see, dodge, and parry as well. For me specifically, it took around about 10 perfect parries to get the first white outline around his health bar, but this also included punishing him every chance that I got. Again, I'm not sure how much it would be for you, but I think around about 10 is a perfect number to look for. Once you see an opportunity or an opening, charge attack him to break his posture. Do it again for extra damage before going for the repost. You can run up to him to get some more damage in before he stands up. I just chose to assert dominance. If you are dodge focused, focus more on punishing him with charged attacks. If you do this throughout and you're lucky enough, you will break his posture, allowing you to go for the repost as well. If you are looking to break Simon Manus's weapon, I counted around about 16 perfect parries. Note to self though, it doesn't actually break, you just knock the living ergo out of it, stopping him from using this move in phase 1, which is kind of silly because he still has it in phase 2. One last move that I forgot to mention he has in phase 1 is this thrust attack, but as you can see, he can chain it with other attacks. The thrust in itself is very slow, easy to dodge, and I wouldn't consider a problem in phase 1. Let's quickly touch on phase 2. Get it? Touch? Because okay. With this move, he releases Ergo with his strong hand into the floor. The wave of Ergo then hits your last location 3 times. With this move, he sends a ground shockwave towards you, which you can dodge right through. He is capable of mixing these 2 moves together, meaning you have to run from both moves. He also has this low sweep attack, which has 2 variations. The first one being the same red jump attack from phase 1, and the second one just being a second swing, but be careful because he can follow up with an overhead attack. If you wish to parry these 2 moves, the first one is 2 to 2.5 seconds from the moment you see him dip or duck low. The second attack is around about the same, 2 to 2.5 seconds. Another move he has are these disruption seeking orbs. He has 3 different types of this move, the first one being a generic one. These ones that stay in place for a little while and then chase after you, run left or right to avoid them. And finally this one where he releases a ball of disruption into the air that constantly shoots disruption at you. You can also run either way to avoid this move. Just as long as it's left or right, you'll be fine. Once Manus is around about half health, he calls upon the Arm of God, which is a huge arm that drops on the stage, causing a massive explosion about every 10 to 15 seconds. The only thing to do in a situation is to completely run away to the opposite side of the map so that the explosion doesn't touch you. The only issue is Simon is capable of throwing 2 or 3 moves at you at the same time that Arm of God is coming down. So knowing when to run and where to run is key to killing this guy's second phase. As long as you are away from the Arm of God and you are significantly away from him, you should be fine because none of the moves can touch you. I genuinely believe patience has the biggest role in these situations, and a lot of times you can't even punish him because if you try to do so, he will hit you with his strong hand or the move that follows afterwards. In his second phase, I counted around about 13 perfect parries to be able to get the first white outline around his health bar. This obviously also includes hitting him every chance that I got. Once you see the white outline around the health bar, wait for your opportunity to break his posture. Once his posture is broken, dodge away from there because he will hit you with his strong hand. After you've dodged, charge attack him a second time for more damage before going for the riposte. Feel free to run towards him, charge attack him again, or use a fable attack to get more damage in before he stands up. The final move Manus has in his phase 2 is this 4-hit combo. In my personal experience of fighting him, he hardly ever does this move, which is why it throws me off every time he does it. But with that being said, just running away from him or disengaging should take care of this move completely. And that is every single one of Simon Manus's move for second phase. The rest of it is just rinse and repeat, added on with first phase attacks as well. In all honesty, being very patient, using his weaknesses against him, which is either acid or decay, and your post cell management, making sure you have enough for phase 2, are the key to beating this fight. The same thing can definitely be said for both dodging and parrying. Like I said in the beginning, he's not too difficult, he's just very annoying. You have to pace yourself and make sure you have enough heals for second phase. Nameless Puppet. This is the second boss that I deem the most difficult in the game, and with good reason. As a puppet, he is weak to electricity, and if you are focused on dodging him, I suggest having this weapon with that handle that has absolute defense, or any other handle with the same perk. The first move we are looking at is this 4-hit combo. He starts this combo by dragging his weapon on the floor behind him. If you are dodging him, I suggest dodging into him while he attacks, so that by the time the animation is finished, you can punish him for it. One charged attack should be enough. From the moment you see him drop his weapon to the floor and start dragging it towards you, it's about 1 second to the first parry, 1 to 1.5 seconds for the second parry, 3 seconds for the third, but you have to press the parry button twice because it's 2 hits. Make sure to punish him afterwards. If you stagger him, even better. He is capable of doing this same combo but without the first attack, so be mindful of that. Another thing he does is he throws in a shoulder bash before he starts this combo. Make sure to dodge it, otherwise he will stagger you, leaving you wide open for the next attacks. If you want to parry it, you have to make sure it's the second shoulder charge and not the first one. 3 seconds after he drops his weapon to the floor should be the time you're looking for the shoulder charge perfect parry. This is also a 4-hit combo where he hits you with a low spinning sweep and then 3 fast attacks. Soon as you see him dash towards you, the sweep is about 1.5 to 2 seconds. This triple attack is too fast to be measured, it's just something you have to feel. Alternatively, you can just disengage and wait for him to finish the animation. This move is a 3-piece combo with the final attack being a red attack. Once you see him charging up his right arm, it's about 2 seconds for the first attack. The second one is a split second later, and the third one is around about 2 to 2.5 seconds. You can also time this move exactly the same way to avoid it. When it comes to the red move, use the absolute guard on the handle. Another move he does with the same red attack is this 4-piece combo. Disengage or dodge the attack, then use absolute guard for the red attack. If you're trying to parry the 4-piece combo, it's around about half a second between each hit. I consider Nameless to be the most inconsistent with his patterns because a lot of his moves he can mix and match together. It took me approximately 10 perfect parries to get the first white outline around his health bar. Once I saw it, I broke his posture, gave him another charge attack before going for the riposte. After the riposte, my fable was full, so I used my fable attack on him, doing considerable damage. And this character is level 1, so I can't imagine the damage you would do to him. It took an extra 9 perfect parries to get another white outline around his health bar. I believe it would have been 10, but he staggered. I did the exact same thing and phase 1 was completely done. I genuinely believe you as the viewer are probably very leveled up for the fight, so you can do considerably more damage to him, making phase 1 really friggin' easy. But he still has more moves to cover, so let's look at them real quick. Another move he has is this 5-hit combo, but sometimes he'll skip the first 2. They are pretty easily dodged and you can punish him afterwards. As I said earlier, he is very random with his moves, so right here he does the jump attack, but he finishes with the red attack. If you do want to parry the jump, it is 1 second after he jumps and then half a second for the next attack. With this move, he is just creating space between you and him, but he can still hit you. Other times, he'll just jump backwards like this. Quick note, he is invulnerable while jumping backwards like this, so he cannot be hit. If you do want to parry this attack, it is half a second after you see him crouch to try and hit you. He does sometimes follow up by running towards you and hitting you twice. It takes about 3 seconds from the run up to parry the first move. The second move is almost instantly, less than half a second. This next move is a double pirouette spin. You know he's going into the spin when he holds and charges his weapon like this. It's around about 2.5 seconds for the first hit and 1.5 to 2 seconds for the second one. Again, these measurements are not accurate, they are not pinpoint, and they are not precise. The point of these measurements is to give you a chance to be able to parry. The more you do it, the more accurate you will become, but these measurements give you a good head start. This move is an alternative of the one I just spoke about. The only difference is the second hit is a red attack. As I said before, Nameless is very versatile. He's probably the most versatile boss in the whole game. A lot of these moves he can change and twist around whichever way he wants. He can also add and take away from the moves that he uses just to confuse you. But I'm gonna try my best to make sure I mention every single move so that anyone he pulls out on you unsuspectedly, you are aware and you know what to do. When he extends his swords like this, he has two different types of poke attacks. The first one, as you can see here, is two charged poke attacks. They can be very easily dodged by just stepping to his left. You can also punish him after stepping to his left just for extra additional damage. The other variant of these poke attacks is this 5-hit combo. He does 2 normal poke attacks, 3 fast ones, and 1 more normal one at the end. Again, easily dodged by stepping to his left, and you can punish him after doing so for additional damage. Lastly, he has these 2 normal attacks which he can then follow up into the shoulder charge, which then leads into a strong attack from the previous combos. There is about half a second between these 2 attacks if you want to parry them. Alternatively, if you are not confident, just disengage and let him finish the animation. And that's about it for phase 1. Honestly, majority of your damage will come from breaking his stance, getting that charge attack in, then the riposte, then the fable attack, then maybe one more charge attack if you can get it in. Just make sure to not be greedy and you should be alright. If you are dodge focused, try your best to either hit him with 1 attack or hit him with a charged attack every single time you can. Doing it this way might be a little bit more tedious, but it will definitely get you that posture break. And once you've got that posture break, this is exactly where the biggest amount of damage you could do to his health takes place. It's like a massive reward for being so patient and taking your time with him. As you can see, I did a chunk of damage here, and I believe you can do the same too. Just 1 charge attack, 1 normal attack here and there, and you will get his health down. Just a quick reminder, every single one of his red attacks can be dealt with the ultimate defense fable. And one more thing, he does heal if he's far away from you enough and you let him. To stop him from healing, don't give him any space or breathing room. If he does heal, this only happens 1 throughout the entire fight, so it's not too bad. Let's take a look at phase 2. The first attack he usually does in phase 2 is this long-ranged low sweep dash attack. This attack is one of my personal favorites because he gives you enough time to prepare, enough time to parry him, and it staggers him heavily, giving you enough time to do a lot of damage in there. Mind you, he can use this attack at any given point in phase 2. If you want to parry this move, wait for the yellow eyes. As soon as you see the yellow eyes, press that parry button and you should perfect parry it. The same thing is true if you are dodge focused. As soon as you see that yellow eyes, hit that ultimate defense fable and you should perfect parry the move. Just make sure to punish him afterwards with 1 charge attack. With this move, he jumps backwards and unleashes a slash of red ergo. Dodge backwards to avoid the attack. Another combo is this downward slash, outward sweep, and then 2 jump spin attacks. Count 2 seconds from the moment you see him raise his swords to parry the slash down attack. The next one's instant, so press your parry button again. His spin attacks are always the worst ones to parry in the second phase. They are always 2 hits every time he spins, so you have to press your parry button really fast twice every time he spins. Alternatively, you can dodge to his left to avoid the spins. That being said, every single one of his spins in phase 2 can be avoided by just dodging to his left. I can understand if you're not comfortable enough to parry them, the dodge is always an available option. You might still get hit once or twice, but at least you can negate majority of the damage. Make sure to punish him with 1 light attack after every spin cycle. The other spin move he has, I call the Pink Panther spin, and let me show you why. Honestly, I thought it was a pretty friggin' amazing thing that the devs did this. I'm not personally sure if they did it on purpose, but the fact that it matches perfectly well with the song is amazing. Now that you know that it matches perfectly with the Pink Panther song, you can use that to parry the move. Amazingly enough, every other spin attack can be parried with the Pink Panther theme song in mind. It is quite literally the same exact tempo. You can play the song in your head and use the beat to parry the moves. Or alternatively, you can keep dodging left to avoid the whole move. Hit him once to punish him afterwards. The next move we are looking at is this 4-hit combo. It's a left, right, downward spin and outward slash. Now this move is too fast to give you a rough parry timing estimate, but you can easily dodge it and punish him afterwards. With this attack, he pump fakes with a charged perk attack and then releases a stream of ergo afterwards. He then runs towards you, tries to perk you again before jumping up and then slamming down with an AoE. I don't bother parrying any of this, I dodge every single one of them and then punish him afterwards. The next move is this singular charged attack. Again, there's no need to parry, you can either dodge right or left and then punish him afterwards. If you do want to parry him, you can use your absolute defense for the move, then punish him afterwards. With this next move, he rushes towards you, hits you twice and jumps in the air, then slams down with his weapon on the floor. From the moment you see him rushing towards you is 1 to 1.5 seconds for the first parry. Make sure you press the parry button twice really fast because it's 2 hits. The third hit is 2 seconds afterwards. Alternatively, you can dodge towards him to avoid the first move, then dodge again to avoid a slam down, and hit him with a charge attack. With this next move, he jumps really high into the air, then spins towards you as he lands. Run towards him on his way down. If you think he is too close when he gets to the ground, dodge again to avoid that move so you're behind him and give him an attack. Make sure it's a light attack and not a charge attack, otherwise you'll miss it like I did. This move is the other variant of the jump attack, but this time he releases a stream of ergo along the floor. Make sure to dodge all the way to his right to avoid the move because it does have a delayed explosion. This attack is probably his most confusing because he spins like a tornado, but he actually only hits you once. Count 1 to 1.5 seconds after you see him crouching down to get ready for the move, and that should be a perfect parry. Alternatively, you can just dodge the move by going towards him. With this next move, he lifts his weapon into the air, fills it with ergo, then slams it on the floor. Best way to avoid this move is to run away from it in the opposite direction. Last but not least is this 5-hit combo, which I personally struggle to parry. There's about a half a second between each hit in this whole combo, but hey, if you do struggle with it like I do, you can always just dodge it. In second phase, it took me around about 14 perfect parries to get the first white outline around his health bar. Once you get it, wait for an opportunity to break his posture. Once you've done that, charge attack him a second time before going for the riposte. Once you've executed a riposte, step backwards away from him because he has an AoE explosion. And that is everything for Nameless. Honestly, he's a very difficult boss, but I hope after this section you'll know what to do and you'll be a bit more confident. And that is everything that I can teach you for every boss in Lies of P. If I've missed anything or if you think there's anything that I should add or know, please let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. If you would like me to make an in-depth video like this for any boss in the Souls series or in the Souls-like series, be sure to let me know and I'll be very happy to do my best.